Hello, everyone. Hello, I hope I didn't scare all of you with that. Oh dear, I forgot I have the live stream open on another tab. Anyway, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name's Taj, and you are tuned into a very special episode of Leighton Live. Just in time for the Halloween season, even though if I look outside, I wouldn't be able to tell. There's lots of snow on the ground. Lots of snow on the ground. It's cold outside, and to be honest, I feel like I should be putting in my Nat King Cole and Vince Guaraldi Charlie Brown Christmas, but still have the Halloween season to come up too, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing because I love the fall and I love Halloween, as is evidenced by my background screen. Yeah. Another special episode. I feel like I say that all the time. It's a landmark episode there. I'm going to steal that from Percy number 6 and Mr. MPS 2002. But yeah, very exciting episode in the process. Coming up very soon for you. For two reasons. First of all, we have a very, very special guest on tonight, that being GordonFan04, a longtime friend of the show and a friend of mine, and a person who makes lots of really great content, and in fact, just uploaded a video earlier today, or a collaboration that we're going to be talking about just in a few minutes. And then, additionally, we have the Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio 1,000 subscriber celebration, which, to be honest, you want to know the best part about that is that I don't really know what's going to happen. It's going to be spontaneous. It's going to be crazy, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I've invited a bunch of my friends who are on Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio to participate in this very fun interactive section where you can ask various questions about your favorite shows, as well as it just being a good way of sharing and showing our gratitude for your support over the past, like, how many years has it been? Like 5? Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I remember when I guess I should probably dive into like my appreciation for Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio. I don't know if I've shared this before, but I remember when it was just community radio. It was not even Thomas Wooden Railway Community Radio. That's the iteration most people I remember. No, I remember when it was just Ted, Roberto, and Henry, that being Henry's Great 15, or Henry and the Beatles, if you prefer. And it was just the three of them doing their own little do-it-yourself thing, where they covered, Ted covered, did like a talk show, that being Chat Room with Ted. Roberto had his record show, so to represent the music. And Henry was going to do, or Johnny, I should say, had his program called Johnny and the World, which was going to talk about current events, sports and politics and various other things. And anyway, I'm just going to say this right now. I think the political thing would have been axed anyway if the show got off the ground by this point. But that's another thing that's coming up very soon is we have 2 elections. We have, of course, the national elections, which also relate to state elections and local elections. If you're eligible to vote, please do. And if you're not, there is another election that's coming up. That's going to be the Thomas Wooden Railway Community President. That's what's going on. So far, we have 2 declared candidates, those being Mr. MPS 2002 and LNER Flying Scotsman. Make sure to check on their Twitters, their Twitter accounts. They have some very interesting and engaging attack ads aimed at each other, and they're magnificent. They're wonderful. But make sure to get out there and vote. You know, do your civic obligation. Then also make sure to see, watch the debate that's going to be coming up very soon, pertaining to that. That's going to be very exciting. Now, 5 minutes in, let's look at the chat. I see the chat is blowing up like crazy. We have Flying Scotsman Productions, Rusty number 5, Steam Engines United 3456. I might say this wrong. Carvalian Blue, I believe that's correct. Lego Spaceman, yeah. Peter Sam Studios, Fun Dog 7. We have Trains and Tugs, Useful Engine 11, Josh Productions 07, Steam Engine. Oh, I already said. I'm already making mistakes. But we have some commentary from the chat. This is very interested. What the heck? I promise. The only thing I've been drinking today is milk. That's the only thing. I promise you. We're the late night program that promotes family values, I guess. But we have an offer from Flying Scotsman Productions saying he wants to run. So to the moderators out there, you better watch out, because if you don't include this guy, it's going to be your loss, man. It's going to be your loss. And then Steam Engines United 3456 stated, I heard MPS insulted our beloved Baja. That won't do well. That won't do too well with voters. Okay. When did he insult Baja? That's like his favorite thing. I don't know. I've been out of the loop. Maybe he changed his position to sway voters. Then again, I don't know how going against Baja Blast would like gain him voters. I mean, like how many pitch black people are in the community who prefer Mountain Dew pitch black? I don't know. Oh, but this is something that you said. MPS did say, do not let Radical Roberto win. He will let the Take-Alon users invade the community if he does. Well, Mr. MPS, if you're afraid about having Take-Alon users invade your community, you probably shouldn't have hired one to co-write your series all that while back. Oh, dang it. Shots fired. Oh, yeah. And Josh Productions brings up that there is going to be a Thomas reboot. This is very interesting news. You probably are going to be discussing that at a later time. He asks, what will the Thomas reboot toys look like? Will they be reboot toys? I don't know. I have a feeling that they're just going to have a chain of books, because the designs that they have don't really look like they're going to be that compatible to merchandise. But then again, I'm not a merchandiser. Oh, and just for everybody who's joining right now, we have 11 viewers. 11 viewers. That's amazing. But what we're doing right now is I'm trying to stall for about 2 more minutes now. I stalled for 8. That's good. And just talking about all the crazy things that are happening around the world and on community radio. So, there's been a toy leak. Rusty number 5 says, I saw a toy leak on Twitter. I'm not too privy into that, so that's going to need to be you. I don't know. But anyway, lots of very exciting things coming to community radio. And actually, there's an opportunity coming up very soon. I'm not going to tell you for what, but for all of you to promote yourselves on community radio. How will you be able to do that? Well, let me tell you. If you want to make a channel advertisement and get featured on a certain video on Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio, just make it about 1 minute and feature just a collage of various things that you have on your channel. It can be something new, it can be something old, but these are actually going to include visuals. So feel free to be as creative and crazy as possible. And once you have those done, send them to either my personal Twitter account, that being at TEHGJPTDDDO, or to the show's Twitter account, that being at Late Live with Taj. So I think that does it for the introduction. Now it's time for yet another introduction. This show is just a sequence of introductions, really at the core of it. But yeah, it'll be nice to have somebody else talk that's not me for a while. As I mentioned, he is a longtime friend of the show, all the way back to the Monday Night Live days, back when we were on my channel, believe it or not. Remember when I uploaded stuff onto my channel? Wow, that was a long time ago. But in all seriousness, he's a wonderful person, and just taking away all the nepotism that comes with this, he is one of the up and coming remakers in this channel. His remakes are amazing, and he's doing reviews and collaborations. He's really got something cooking. So may you please introduce the one and only GordonFan04. How are you doing?
Can you hear me? Is everything good?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, awesome. I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing well. I guess this is a weird question to start off with, even though it is the icebreaker to end all icebreakers. But how's the weather?
It's kind of mild temperature where I live. It's not like crazy hot, but it's not snowing like where you are. So it's kind of in the middle. Like, it's cold enough to where you at least need to wear like a sweater.
Yeah, and I like wearing sweaters, but yeah, I live in Minnesota, in case you don't know, in case you didn't check the description. And it seems like this is like the community hotbed. I wonder if there's some correlation between liking Thomas and like living in cold weather situations, because yeah.
It's more so the states are, you have Ohio, Minnesota, California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Those are like the places where all the Thomas, a lot of them are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and then we just lump all the Canadians together because we're American. Or, well, we're United States citizens, I should say that. But yeah, anyway, this is the part of the program where we typically go back to the beginning. So if you want to go back to the beginning, we can. If you don't want to, that's completely fine as well.
Yeah, we can go back to the beginning.
You know what? I'm going to go back incrementally. You joined the community back in 2018. Was that on this account or was it on another?
So I was making videos like everybody did with pushing their Thomas trains on the floor in 2015.
Oh.
But I moved to the GordonFan04 account 2018 because my old account didn't get many subscribers. The videos were not very good, and I stopped after about 2 years in, and I didn't upload very much. So it wasn't very consistent, but I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to make an account, and I'm going to start uploading videos, and I'm going to make them consistent. I'm going to try. And that didn't last very long. I uploaded quite a bit, but I just took down the videos because I was kind of self-conscious about them. I didn't really know if I wanted to keep them up or anything. But it was after the start of this year, and when I got into quarantine, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start. I haven't had uploaded in a while. I'm going to start making videos again. I'm going to do it again. And that's when I uploaded my collection video, which is unlisted now because I'm remaking it. But I uploaded, was it the Tamar meeting scene? No, it was a Gallantold Engine remake.
Yeah, I really love that.
I uploaded a Gallantold Engine remake. It's not as good as my newer stuff, but I still think it holds up to like a certain level.
Yeah, I think actually to be a throwback a bit. I remember when the Sudfreen was on, and he just mentioned like, hey, there's this really cool channel, GordonFan04, and that was after I took like a lengthy hiatus from like the community, like socially. So I like the last thing I saw was like the final episode of Sudfreen Conflict, and then I was gone just for a very long time. And so then that was one of the very first recommendations where it's like, you got to check out this guy's stuff. And I saw it and I was really impressed. I really loved what I saw. And I love what I'm seeing. So I guess that naturally leads to the question, what was your creative process? Did you start filming videos with your Thomas toys or your Thomas models prior to discovering that there was a community, or after? Was there some inspiration in that?
I always watched Kikure when I was pretty little. So I would just get out like an old camera or whatever when I could, and I would just make stupid videos. These were never uploaded to YouTube. They were never on YouTube. This was before I even knew YouTube. Well, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't even know how to upload videos. I didn't know how to create a channel. I was on my mom's account just watching videos. And the creative process behind whatever, when I made those, was, hey, I just want to bring out the trains. I want to do something fun. Now I feel like it's more professional. I have to keep up a schedule, even though I don't really have one. But I have to keep up basically a schedule, like I just said. But at least I like to upload at least once a month. I feel like it's a nice even video number for a month. And every time that I would see somebody else do a video or whatever, I would always be like, man, that's really, really cool. I would love to do something like that. But not like obviously copy it, but to look at other people and be like, wow, that's really cool. I wonder if I could take my own twist and spin on that. And that's how I find most of my motivation, from seeing other people do all this other cool stuff, and it motivates me to make more content and whatever. So yeah.
So I guess there is this I wouldn't say necessarily myth, but there is this general kind of, I guess, story, that being that the community is less active today than it was, let's say, 5-10 years ago. In this setting where there is less creativity happening, do you find yourself more like looking towards like older videos for like inspiration and being like, yeah, that was really cool, I want to top that? Or are you looking towards people like the Sudgery and Useful Engine 11 to kind of maybe like friendly competition, I guess?
See, I never, when I look back at videos, and I would say, hey, I want to one-up them more so. It's kind of more of like, hey, I want to, what they did was really cool. I would love to bring that back in my own style and do a lot of stuff. As for motivation that I look out for videos, and the myth of it being, well, not really myth, but the myth of it being the community not being as active, I feel like one of the main inspirations for me, and in modern times, is the tavern parody. It's really inspired me to one-up my sets and all that stuff, and really do a lot of things I wouldn't do usually. But for the reviews, that's for like the remakes and original stories or whatever. For the reviews, I really look back at older videos to see inspiration and for all that other stuff. To think that we had all these reviews coming out, and they kind of, I know Percy number 6 still does them, and Kikure does discussions, but they kind of completely died out altogether.
Yeah, I feel that is like a trend. You know, there was like a time where especially after, you know, Enterprising Engine put out like Munitions, for example, that, you know, all of a sudden we were seeing lots of creators really like writing lots of original stories that were a little bit more darker in tone. I guess really the person who started that probably was Milk Tanker Media, actually. But well, there was that trend in that direction. And then there was the crossover specials, which was, you know, people like Mr. MPS, Eric, Percy number 6, that were really pushing this forward. Mr. Conductor Fan, of course.
Rob.
Yeah, incredible. And So I really liked that response. That was really nice because you're not really topping, like trying to top like what people did before. You're trying to kind of find your own original style while paying homage to those who came before you. That's really cool.
Yeah, I I like seeing what other people did a long time ago, maybe 2015 up until I'd say 2017, really after crossover of Destiny really ended. That's kind of when the reviews just weren't almost the same anymore. I mean, we still got some reviews up until 2018, but that's kind of like the setting stone because, oh wow, I mean, it's an insane cutoff to how after crossover Destiny came out. I'm not saying that it killed reviews. I'm just saying that a lot of people I'm just using that as like a timestamp, but a lot of people stopped making reviews during that time.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing is just that the crossovers were really ambitious when I look back at them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so like at the beginning, it was just like there's a novelty to it, where you could just like it was just like look, Rob and Ted met up, and they just kind of hung out together, and that was it, and they had a good time. And then it progressively got more like in depth and like comprehensive, like where like all of a sudden there was like all of these interlocking like narratives.
We
And
even got like a crossover movie. Crossover Destiny is what I'm referring to, but it's 1 hour long. I mean, that's a long review.
And when that came out, I can only imagine how much work went into making that. And so naturally, when it's a larger project, you can't put out as many crossovers one after another. So that possibly maybe, led to some people being like, oh, things are less active, when in reality, it was just that the projects were growing larger and larger, and release dates were, further apart due to that. So I guess talking about Thomas and the Magic Railroad, you just saw that in theaters, if I'm correct.
Yes, I did just see that in theaters. And one of the funny things is watching that film made me realize how bad of a film it is.
Yeah, because I noticed that just a few days before you like had like a thread of like your favorite films, and of course Back to the Future was on there, and Jojo Rabbit, all these really fun films, and then or great films, and then Thomas and the Magic Railroad was on there. I scroll up like 4 days, and then you said Thomas and the Magic Railroad sucks, and I was like, what?
It's on my favorite. It's still on my favorite movies list, just because it's not favorite. It's like what Josh Productions just said. Thomas and the Magic Railroad makes me smile. I can at least smile when I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
And I can look past all the bad things about it and look at the good things, like the music, not the sing-along music, but the score and a lot of the sets, and how they really got really good like voice actors, not actual human actors. Of course not. I mean, there were not. I mean,
everybody knows voice actors aren't real humans, I'm kidding.
No, but I'm not talking about like in real life, but in like the story.
Yeah.
They really nailed the voice actors in that movie. Yeah, but I did see Tower recently. One of the funny things that happened was if you've seen it before, which I bet you have, and you can recall seeing, Patch is gone from the movie for about 20 minutes. And when he appears again and he's walking around out in like the grass in the field, my mom leaned over to me and went, I forgot he was in this movie. And it kind of says a lot.
Yeah, what does he say like after that? Does he I've watched the film like a bunch of times. Like does he say like I bet you can't climb that tree or something like that?
He said, I bet you can't climb this tree. I think is that after? I keep on thinking to the parody because that's the last one that I watched. I really don't remember what else he says. I know he said something towards the end, but most of the time he's just looking around in awe towards the very end.
Yeah, because it's a magical film. It's a
Oh, he
magical
was
film.
like, it's time to go home. I think that's his last line.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. But that's the funny thing is like if like you just have like a problem like where the editing doesn't make sense, then you're like, oh, you don't understand. The film's magical. That was intentional. It's like, no, well,
It cuts from Sodor to Shining Time really abruptly.
you're not like I've been doing a review of Thomas and the Magic Railroad now for almost as long as I claimed to be making Sultans. I'm making another Sultans right now, which is funny. But that's led to me like watching like the film so many times, and every time I watch it there's like 10 more things where I'm like, I like this is just so fundamentally broken. Like, not to give like spoilers for like my review, but did you ever notice that like Mr. Conductor, like his narration doesn't make any sense? Like even just like in like the time when like he's speaking. I don't know if I can explain it, but at the beginning of the film, like he says, Thomas is running a little late today, prior to like the first scene. So it seems like he's narrating as the stories are going along, like in like a novel, for example. But then, like just like 5 minutes later, he's like, what I didn't know was that Burnett Stone was, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's a different tense, They couldn't even get the tense of the narrator consistent. So
he's telling it in present, then telling it in past, and telling it in all. It's a mess.
Yeah.
From listening to a lot of podcasts, they mentioned this on Grease and Oil, but MPS said that you can remove Tamar out of the whole canon if you just take the line. When he appears in Calling All Engines, that doesn't really count. Well, yeah, when he appears in Calling All Engines, and he's like, it's been a very long time, or something. He says something like that. You could just take when at the beginning he goes, the Diesel 10's back, ooh. You could just use that single line and say that there was something that obviously something happened before then. And, you can remove it from there.
Yeah, he can just be like an engine on loan, or something like that. That makes sense. Another thing I noticed was that at the beginning of the film, like when like Gordon says, like, of course Diesel 10 just rushes by really fast, and he's like, and I want to finish it now. And then Gordon's like, oh, Diesel 10's back. And then Thomas, our protagonist, says, that's right. 10 out of 10 for devious deeds and brutal strength. And like he's just saying it like in the most monotone tone, like he's not even scared at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I completely understand why it would be like your favorite. For some reason it was never like nostalgic for me. But I certainly do have bad films from my childhood that I do have a weird affinity for, despite me knowing that they're really bad.
Yeah.
Like the Cat in the Hat live action remake, for some reason, that film just like is like so bad, but for some reason it just takes me every single time I watch it because maybe it's because it's so bad. I don't know. But I guess that leads us to your time on the disgraceful I never can say it.
Well,
The disgraceful, disgusting, despicable podcast.
I was on there for a little bit, and then I left, and then that podcast kind of died out with me leaving. So they got me in a Skype call, and they were like, okay, let's rethink this whole podcast idea, because maybe Disgraceful Disgusting just wasn't working, and we need to rethink this whole podcast idea. So we ended up giving away the account to Disgraceful Disgusting Despicable to somebody else.
Oh.
Which I won't say their name if they don't want me to. And then we created a new podcast, which I haven't updated my wiki page on it, but we created a new podcast called the Back on Track podcast, which the name had already been used, but I didn't check that until after we created the channel and did all the channel banner art and stuff. So it's probably just going to stay like that.
Yeah, it's a common saying. It's a common saying.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I got your back.
But there's going to be we have the first 2 episodes recorded. They will be released soon, so look out for that.
Ooh, so make sure everyone to look out for the Back on Track podcast starring my good friend GordonFan04. So you better watch out. You better not cry.
And also starring Useful Engine 11 and the Sudrian, and maybe some guests if we decide to have guests on.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun. It honestly does. I really enjoyed actually Disgraceful Disgusting is well, if I get them in the right order. I always get them mixed up.
That's one of the reasons why we changed it.
Well, it's an iconic line, but I don't know. It's a me thing. It's a me thing. Like I tend to mix up those similar sounding words, which makes me a great host, of course. But
I messed them up too. Don't worry. I just messed up my sentence, so
don't worry. We're good. We're good. But the unique thing is that during like in the background of a lot of the episodes where there were like audio tracks, like music playing throughout that. I thought that was a very interesting concept. To have them.
Because having that being a thing, the episodes took a lot more longer of a time to produce, so we ended up scratching that just because, first of all, we used some music, and then after we uploaded the episode, I feel like a few weeks later or sometime, the person that made the music said like, yeah, now you can't use this anymore. So we were like,
Oh, so it was like, was it like royalty free music that then like became like non-royalty free?
I don't remember what piece of music or who made it. But I just remember that being told to me.
I have some requests from the audience. Flying Scotsman Production says, "Say my name," and there I just did. So
well, he was okay. So he was the person that got Disgraceful Disgusting.
All right. He's another cool guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And Mayo Hosko says the fandom isn't as fun since people left YouTube for Twitter. That's why we love community radio. That's an interesting take because I back in 2013, when I that's kind of when I associated the community moving on to Twitter. So I don't know. That's almost been for as long as I've been here. So yeah, I guess maybe that's right. Maybe that's not, but I probably am not the greatest authority on that.
You get more instant gratification and the same thrill as spending forever to make a video about a certain character interaction or just posting it on Twitter.
But do you? Because you make some wonderful we're going to get to the remakes, of course, but you make some wonderful crossovers. In fact, one just went up with Useful Engine 11 today. That was very entertaining to watch.
It's on YouTube channel, so if you guys want to go watch it, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting.
Yep, and then you have the Timothy review on your channel, and they're just such great. Or no, Charlie. The Timothy review is the new one.
Yeah.
But you do some really cool stuff, and I feel like in a way you can't necessarily have that on Twitter because I guess Twitter's more personal in that it's only one person's vision, while a crossover it's you're both putting all of your energy into making this one product that people will go back and watch years down the line.
With the crossovers, I feel like there's not as many as I mentioned before. As I said, crossover with Destiny was the cutoff line. Which, if you guys don't know what crossover with Destiny is, I saw somebody put in the comments that they didn't know what it was. Probably should have specified. Mr. Conductor Fan made a 1 hour long compilation of 3 crossovers, or 2 crossovers, one with 2 parts. And it's pretty good. I recommend you go check it out. But when I decided, hey, I'm going to make reviews. I never really thought of them as being watched in the future. And if people like me and Useful and Sudrian and maybe even you, I don't really know, watch the old crossovers, what if possibly in the future somebody that's new to the community comes across my crossovers and me and Useful's and Sudrian's and other people's crossovers that they do, and it inspires them to make more crossovers, and it kind of just sparks a new flair into it.
And that's the most exciting bit of the whole thing, is that, I think that like all the greatest things happen like without like pretension, almost, like where you're just like you're doing what you love, and then people come around and say, hey, this is art, this is worthwhile, this is something that's really important to me. And then you're just like, oh, I did that for a laugh. I think that's a very pure creative process, and that's something that should be cherished. You have a very lucky thing going. I guess that leads me to like a question that relates to the start of your interest in Thomas. What made Thomas stand out in comparison to like other children's shows for you that made it click? And what do you look for in a good story to remake or a good story to write?
So I sadly grew up in the time of the new series and the Miller era.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, I watched the reruns on Sprout, but those were really all I could watch of Thomas in case I didn't get the DVDs. But the DVDs of the classic series that I have has way more scratches that I've had since I was a little kid, has way more scratches and than I do of the newer series and the Miller era. There's not as many scratches or smudges on them, which I think shows a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch them more than I would. So I guess what probably made it click more in my mind and how I can remember stuff like that is when I look for a good storytelling, I feel like it has to come natural. Everything the characters say has to come natural. It all needs to feel fluid. And I feel like that's what the Miller era is missing because they talk like robot babies. But in the classic series, yeah, they're talking like British, like people in the UK would be talking like how, or people everywhere talked like during the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
30s. Not to be stereotyping or anything, but
yeah, it used like the common language of the times. It was not like, oh, I'll just make a bunch of goofy sounds, or be overtly repetitious, for a cheap buck. It had a little bit more credibility to it than that, and yeah.
So one thing that for Thomas, for me, is that it's basically the center of childhood innocence, as they say in one of the trailers for Unlikely Fandom, if I got that right. It really, the morals aren't screamed in your face. They're not in the title of the episode. They're not pushed really far at you. It's more very, very subtly put in there where you notice it, but it's not shoved into your face where you feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember when I was a kid, I grew up with like the very beginning of what would be called like the new series or the Miller era, and I watched it fairly consistently from about season 8 to about 12 or 13. Those were like the series that were coming out when I was still like in my first wave of my Thomas obsession. And I realized that, I really loved, truthfully, I loved the older stories more than the newer ones. Um, I always mention Races, Rescues, and Runaways, but I loved season 4. The first time I saw Grand Puff, that completely like changed my whole perspective on the brand, and really of storytelling, I think, in general, because I was like, wow, this is a children's show, and you're going through decades of a character's life, and you're doing it in like 4.5 minutes, and you're doing it so brilliantly. And then you turned on season 10 or something, and it was like, oh no, Percy spilled the fruit all over the rails. It just didn't have like the same, like, I guess, narrative grandeur or eloquence that were present in those early stories, a lot of which were Railway series adaptations. And I guess now the question comes, how did you discover that there was a community?
How I discovered that there was a community was, if that was the question you asked.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
But no, it's completely my fault. But I mainly discovered it through watching other people, and then eventually, yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah. If you're listening to this and not actually watching it, I bet nobody has any idea what I'm referring to. But
I get it.
This is a show, not a video. But Dream was saying, me and Useful's crossover that came out earlier today on Useful's channel, which I don't really like plugging things, but you guys should go check that out, because I know Useful worked extremely hard on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the plugging, but you continue with your answer. I'm sorry if I interrupted. I just sometimes like putting up comments and so on. So.
Oh no, you're fine. But I figured out the community mainly through watching other community members do other things, and just really introduced to me. And it was kind of like a chain event. So when people mention somebody else in their comment section, or I see them in their comment section, I'd go to their videos. So when Rob made, I know I've mentioned this like 1,000 times, when he made crossover with Destiny with Vinny, I saw Vinny's channel from Rob's channel, and it was a chain reaction of finding all these different users.
And then all of a sudden you were like, hey, this is really cool. I kind of want to do this,
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Did you watch a lot of Mr. Conductor fans remakes then? What came first, watching the crossovers or watching remakes? Or have you not watched the remakes?
I watched the crossover first, and only till part 4 of Tower Parody came out when I really discovered the remakes, because for some reason I always saw them pop up in my recommended, but I was like, oh, I'll watch it next time, and I never watched them until they just disappeared all out. So I didn't remember them until I watched them again, and they're really, really solid. They're probably the best remakes in the community, I'd say.
Well, and you're probably going to like this. is that when I see what you're doing, I see lots of kind of similarities between your two styles. So that's a big compliment because I love his remakes as well.
Yeah.
And anything that can remind me of that is like, yes, you hit the jackpot. Um, so did you make like remakes like on your older iteration of your channel prior to you moving over to GordonFan04?
No, I don't think I did. I don't recall ever doing any. But I might have tried at one point, but failed.
Hmm.
Um,
I've been there too. Not gonna lie.
but I mean, I don't have any memories of doing that.
Hmm. It was probably just like maybe you just like had the TV on, you were watching an episode of Thomas, and then it was like, oh, I'll just recreate it, as it's going along. I know I did that with like Steamroller and various episodes like that when I was um, just getting started and I first got my camera to operate. Um, what camera do you use for your remakes actually? Because the images that you're able to get are really clear, even
So,
compared to lots of really like great like remake channels. Your camera quality is really top notch.
well, if you have an iPhone 8, then
You're
you can.
serious?
It's all filmed on it. I've done everything on an iPhone. I first did it on an iPhone 5, and now I'm on an iPhone 8. So I've been using an iPhone 8.
Okay. If there's shining time, you want to know what I want to do? I want to do late and live, have a suit on, have a desk in front of a studio audience, and I'm going to break my iPhone 5 in front of everyone and buy an iPhone 8 because, man, that technology, man, technology. I remember when Keith Gray did like his like he did like a video where he showed off like all of his cameras that he had ever used. Um but now you can just, those are crazy clear images that you get on your phone. That's crazy. I noticed that when you were making them, you sometimes there were like still images in there, um, because I noticed that like in some remakes they put like the camera like on a tripod for like those still images.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm correct, do you take like photographs of like the still images?
No, I do not. I record them. I've set them down on like a Lego tripod thing that I built,
Oh,
and I set the camera down and I hit record and I just sit there for like 10 seconds and wait for it, and then I just hit the off button and I export it to Final Cut, and that's where I do all that stuff.
so I guess in a few minutes I've complimented the quality of an iPhone camera and just praised the stillness of your images unintentionally, which is something that I think is good because I know like whenever I made videos like at the beginning, like whether that be like Teddy the Tank Engine or something like that way back in 2013, I I just like used to hold the camera like in place and you could just see every single like arm jerk or something like that. So that's really cool that you're able to get those cool still shots with just a Lego tripod. I'd love to see that at some point. You do full episode remakes and you also do short clip remakes. Which ones do you find the more fun to do or easier to do, or do you find virtue in both?
Um, I find making the full remakes a lot more of a challenge than making the short remakes, because I get sick and tired of a remake when I work on it for so long, especially because I'm doing more VFX with them and including facial animation where I key out the faces.
Oh,
Because I used to edit them on iMovie, but I got Final Cut and I can do all that stuff now.
Final
So
Cut's great.
it's a lot of work. But I get more satisfaction out of making the full remakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally prefer the full remakes.
Yeah, because and I've seen that you've like done like clips from various different like eras too, which I know some people are like they really stick to that one era of comfort. Like they only remake episodes from season 1 through 4, but you kind of have jumped, all over the map, doing some classic series episodes and also doing episodes from like or clips from the Brenner era and even a clip from Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So I think that's really, really cool that you do that. Out of all of the videos that you've made so far, which one would you say you're the most proud of?
That's hard to say because I like all of them, but I'm gonna have to get a refresh on all my videos because to answer this because it's hard to say. But out of all my remakes, I am probably the most proud of Toby's Tightrope.
Mm-hmm.
I had all of Edward the Very Useful Engine filmed. I still have it in Final Cut, but I decided it looks nice. There's nothing wrong with the visuals in my opinion. It's just I actually got a new sky background and I'm filming. Actually, I'm not gonna spoil too much stuff, but
That's all right. That's all right.
But I've done so many different things now and really experimented with what I can do, and stuff that's not really ever been done before. I've been experimenting with a ton of different stuff, and I felt like, well, if I'm gonna upload all this other content that's way more better than that, why would I spend all my time finalizing I've already put like 3 hours into it, editing wise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5 hours. Why would I spend all my time editing all this footage that I'm personally not as big as a fan of as I am my newer stuff? Why would I put all that time into that when I could be filming? Because filming is my favorite part of the entire thing.
It's your favorite part of the process.
Yeah.
And so from what I'm hearing, which actually is a fairly common thing and a very productive thing too, would you describe yourself as being a person whose favorite project is always the one that they're working on?
So do you mean like if I made something in the past or made something in the future, what I'm working on presently would still be my favorite?
Yeah, where it'd be like, oh, you like the last one? Just wait until you see the next one because I'm going to get all these new tricks out of my bag,
I personally, yeah, I feel like that's the thing, but when you're filming 3 different remakes in the span of a month, they really don't get really upgraded, you could call it. So really, when I upload 3 remakes, expect the next 3 remakes after that to be better than what they were before.
Oh yeah, and I expect there to be just incremental process too, because I used to hate editing, and now, the role has reversed where I got so versed, in editing now that now I have trouble actually filming stuff. And so I'm just like, oh, I'm going to do an editing practice. And I actually do some of that stuff for friends, both in the community and outside of the community. Like in person, like at like high school friends and college friends. I do a bit of that. So
for me, I don't think editing is my least favorite part. A lot of people are expressing their least favorite parts, and I'm seeing mostly filming. Well, there's only 2 people, but like you said, editing is one of your least favorite parts. I personally prefer filming, but I wouldn't say that I dislike editing. Probably my least favorite part about it is finding the motivation to do it. Because I always, I always, it's the truth. But I always usually try to, where was I?
You always dear, sorry. Something stuck in my throat. Probably the milk going bad. You were talking about just like how you were seeing like comments in the chat about how editing, like you wouldn't say that editing's your least favorite part.
Okay, yeah. Finding the motivation is also hard, but Roman brought up a great point about my least favorite part is building sets, and I actually have to agree with him. That's probably my least favorite part too.
Actually, yeah. Yep. he hit it on the head of the nail.
Yep. I agree. I agree with you. But I still find it motivation. And what I do is, like I said earlier, I go back and I look at the older videos to really see what inspires me and all that other stuff.
Yeah. I guess one thing I should mention is that I believe you're affiliated. You're affiliated with the Classic Series Creations. Am I correct?
I indeed am. I was actually not to say how I was added. That's probably not a good idea. But yeah. It's I'm not gonna give out too many details just in case people don't want me to, but it's a very fun time. Yes. In the chat and all that other stuff, and yeah, definitely.
Yep,
it's
and we've
behind the scenes process of all the episodes coming out.
Yep, and I love what they do. They do some great stuff over there.
I've done nothing with that yet. I haven't done anything for the channel. I've been there for about 3 months. And I really just haven't done anything yet, but I'd say probably around the end of season 2. I'm not sure if there is a season 2.
Ooh. That I think that's good. I think you're gonna do great. Once again, you have such great set design, such great an eye for detail, and you have like a comedic kind of like nature to like your remakes too, because I've seen like Stormtroopers and SpongeBob and Harry Potter in there. And I'm just like, that's lots of fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, putting the SpongeBob and all that stuff is just, I look at my Lego figures and I'm saying, what could make this set in this scene, in this thing even better? And it's just like putting the Stormtrooper in the background. There are so many different hints and Easter eggs that you actually don't get to see on camera, which I'm really disappointed that you don't. And
but you can feel it. You can feel it.
In the quarry set in Toby's Tightrope in my remake. There is like a I actually forgot what I put there. There's something. It might be like a DeLorean or something, but there's something there.
There's something there. There's something there.
It's never shown on camera though.
Well, I guess that leads us to the last point, which is what's to come for GordonFan04?
More remakes. Probably not as many. But definitely I'm pushing reviews a lot more. I want to do reviews. That's kind of what personally I want to do, which is kind of whatever. But the point is, I have a lot of fun writing and editing reviews, especially the actual review part. So yeah, reviews are probably what I'm going to be focusing on in the future.
Yeah. And maybe even like a few more custom model showcases, because I really liked the LBSC Thomas one.
See, I liked making that video, but at the same time, I just don't think it really fits with my channel.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll stay up. It's kind of I might put it unlisted into a playlist of unlisted videos, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that is gonna stay up. But yeah.
Or you could make a backup channel called GordonFan05, or GordonFan04 fan club,
GordonFan, the KeyCray24 fan club.
Yes. Yes.
I found that channel a little bit ago, and I was like, if you read the description, it's really, really funny.
Did you subscribe?
Yes, I subscribe. I'm part of the KeyCray24 fan club.
Man, that's great. We need to support each other. Us KeyCray24 fan club members,
Yeah.
we need to stick together. Anyway, it's been an absolute blast having you on, and it'll be great having you on around a 8:45 actually, Central Zone, that is, for our abbreviated roundtable discussion and our extended Thomas Trivia Challenge. So it's been great talking to you. Make sure to check out his channel. Make sure to check out the podcast. What's your upcoming podcast one more time?
Back on Track podcast.
Back on Track podcast. Make sure to check that out. And check out his new crossover with Useful Engine 11. It's been a pleasure having you on, and see you in a little while.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Once I got the notification or the message, I was like, "Whoa!" I've been looking forward to this for a lot.
Man.
So yeah, thank you for having me on.
I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. Stay safe in the 43 minutes in the interim.
Yeah. I'll try my best to stay safe.
Yep. I'll hope for no snow.
Join the KeyCray24 fan club. It's okay. Yeah. See ya.
See ya. Well, that was great fun. GordonFan04, everyone. Just great fun having him on the show at long last. Once again, he's been a long time friend of the show, and I really do appreciate it. We have some comments that I'd like to get to before I introduce my next guests. I'm seeing that Roman, if you saw earlier, he is planning on making more remakes. So that's really cool. I love that. We have a few more people stating that editing and making the sets are their least favorite parts of the filmmaking process. And we have a new comment from Steam Engines United 3456, which I'll highlight. Presidential candidate MPS is slipping with his Baja Blast. I am the true Baja King, not him. Cue evil laugh. Okay, enough of that. I already did that during the intro. Anyway, now it's the part that some of you probably have been waiting for. I'm not going to say all because, well, to be honest, nobody waits for all things. But GordonFan04 was wonderful. Lots of people waiting for him to be on the show. Since he hit 1K subs face revel, not today. Maybe Thanksgiving. I'll do that. But it's time for the Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio 1,000 subscribers celebration. In case you didn't know, Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio hit 1,000 subscribers 10 days ago, October 16th, which was the Friday when the character gallery episode, the last character gallery episode was uploaded, talking about Edward's Ghost Engine, which I thought was really cool. So anyway, joining us, we have a few members of Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio and some alumnus from the Community Radio brand. So right now, we're going to have some people joining, some people leaving. It's going to be flexible, but it's going to be lots of fun. So right now, I'd like to introduce the host of Track Plan Banter, Rudy Productions. How are you doing?
Hey, doing good. Yeah.
And we have two more guests to add on to the show. The host of the former host of 209, one of the former hosts of 2091 Empire News and current arch enemy of Percy number 6, Roman's TWR Empire. How are you doing?
Howdy.
Howdy, partner. And lastly, we have a throwback to the second iteration of community radio. I believe that he was the host of the most popular program, actually, during the time where community radio was off air, being like after the second iteration and before like the third iteration started. His show, that being Solar Workshop, was the most viewed program on the channel. So it's my great pleasure to introduce back to the channel Eric Pierre 53. How are you doing?
Oh, hey, am I on?
It's great talking, man. It's been too long.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Currently we have some backlash from the comments pertaining to Romans being on. I should have known this.
Really? Why am I not surprised?
I think
Whatever. Haters gonna hate.
But yeah, this is crazy because I mean, think about it. The community radio has been around since 2014, and now these almost over 6 years later, we hit the 10,000 the 10,000. Oh wow, now I'm getting excited. With the 1,000 subscribers mark. It's absolutely crazy. And what are your reactions to that?
Simpler times.
Simpler times.
Simpler times.
Before community radio sold out.
It's okay. I'm looking at this. Thomas Battles. The first ever episode was the 3rd of January 2015. It's been well over 5 years.
Yep. It's yeah, man.
I was 15.
I was 11.
I was 14 actually.
I was 13. I believe so. Yeah, I was 13. It's tricky because my birth date is on New Year's Eve, which makes everything awkward. So I'm like, I'm 1 year behind. Like, if I was born in 2000, it'd be perfect because then, like in 2008, I would have been 8 years old. But now it's like it just messes up the whole system. But yeah, what were all of your first experiences on Thomas the Tank Engine community radio, I guess now?
That first Thomas Battles episode.
Yeah. I was on Thomas Battles too, way back in the day. Don't look it up. My voice was extremely squeaky.
Yeah, don't look at mine either. I couldn't argue for anything.
And Rudy, what about you?
So my first experience was with Character Gallery, actually. I came on as a guest to do an episode on Skarloey with Leonard. So that was a great time.
And was that before or after you submitted your show?
That was before. It was like a few weeks later that I came up with the idea for Track Plan Banter. So yeah, that was really my origin. That was my origin story.
Story.
Yeah, I came and did an episode on Skarloey. That's
hey, if there's that's a good character to come in on. Skarloey's great.
I mean, that's how I came into the franchise. That was my first toy of Thomas ever. That was my first thing. So it's
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Start with the other number one engine on Sodor.
Yeah.
So I guess we can just maybe Eric, Roman, well, the three of us, we were kind of there at the very beginning. Do you have any memories of the very first iteration of community radio with Roberto?
Oh, it
and
was low budget.
it was low.
Like that's the sort of like vibe I get from it, from like looking at those old shots, because like it was such a different. Okay, just to put this in context, like I believe back then I hadn't started Railway Tales. I wasn't making that many reviews. We hadn't met Roy Wilson yet. I think. Wait, The Adventure Begins just was about to come out.
Yeah, I think that was
Like-
even before, to date even more. I believe that's even before Emily did Hitler's Laundry. So there's an inside gag for all of you. Railway Series reviewers, everyone. Railway Series reviewers. But yeah, I remember those days very fondly, because Ted introduced his show, and then Roberto did like 2 live streams. The second one got taken down within the first 5 minutes.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But I always loved the concept of that, starting with like music, talk, and news. Of course, the news is probably aged the worst out of the 3, but But then there was a few months where, of course, community radio did not exist. It was not. Yeah, we do not talk about community radio, and then MPS kind of brought it back. Who was there for when that happened?
I clearly remembered that. That was like we were at Shining Time. Was it? Yeah, last Shining Time. Essentially, I remember like Ted coming up to me and like pitching me the whole idea for like the new rebooted Thomas Community Radio, and wanted to know if I wanted to do a show. I wasn't in the best position to really pitch anything, but like, oh, it was tempting. Oh god, it was tempting.
Yeah, and I like that second iteration of the channel was just like there. It almost has like a orange hue to it now. Like when you like look back at photos from like the 70s, they have like this, even if they're not orange, they have that kind of feel. Looking back at old community radio videos, it kind of has that same, faux nostalgia kind of aura.
Wait, I'm confused. Are we talking about the current version or the 2015 version?
Oh, sorry. I was talking about there was like the first iteration of it, which was just community radio, and then it went off the air for a while, and it got rebooted as Thomas Wynn Railway Community Radio, and MPS kind of was the one who was like, hey, let's get a bunch of people to do shows and so on and so forth. I remember that very faintly, being that I was just in the outer rims of the social media network of the community back then.
I remember I wanted to try and do something in the 2015 version, but I could not think of anything. Like I remember MPS was like, do you have any ideas for a show? And I'm like, deep down, I'm like, I want to do something, but I had no clue what to do. So I was just like, no.
Oh, but my show was so bad. My show was so bad. Oh, it was hilarious.
Like if you were to do like that show again today, first of all, that leads to the question: would you do that show again today?
I could do it again. I just need to learn how to stop cutting people off. That was my problem 5 years ago. I remember I did this awful interview with Kikre where I kept cutting him off, and you could hear how annoyed he was getting. I still feel bad about that to this day.
Hey, cutting people off, it works for me. That's like my whole style right there. And the best part is that I don't even try to do it. So, I love the sort of workshop. And if you were to do the show again, what would be some things that you would have changed? Like thematically.
I think I would have made like the topic a bit wider, because it was very it was kind of like overly niche to just be like, hey, if you were to make a set or whatever. Like I think the idea of like, hey, if fans could like come up with merchandise, what would it be? I just think I'd mess around with the presentation because there's something like kind of rushed about the whole like concept. But like it's not a bad idea in a whole. It's just I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like what every like kid's dream is to have like the ultimate Thomas set or the ultimate Thomas item. So I think that kind of touched a nerve, I guess, in terms of community content, because really that's kind of why you make layouts. It's because you want to make your own sets. And so Roman, being that your first experience on community radio was on Thomas Battles, would you maybe want to like give off some of your memories about that era of the community and like what it was like to be like, okay, you've been accepted to be on community radio?
Well, I remember I was like excited to do it and I wanted to do it, but then I just didn't give any effort to like make any notes or any like research for my arguments or whatever at all. And like MPS, I remember he told me like, oh, you have like 4 days or whatever to come up with your points. And I was like, okay. And I didn't do anything until like the last, like 30 minutes before the so I'm like, okay, let's just make some stuff up and work with it. And keep in mind, one of the questions in that first episode was like, what is the best Railway series story? And at that point, I had barely read the Railway series.
Oh, no.
So I just kind of went with the the stereotypical answer of Super Rescue. And then PS is like, why? And I'm like, well, because of like the story and stuff.
Because iconic.
Like we were in this. Wait, we did the same episode, right? I think. Was it?
We shared an episode.
Yeah.
With the current Thomas Battles, but the first.
The first one was Mike, and Lego Lover.
Wait, that's. I'm pretty sure you went up against them, and then I went up against James and Ted, and obviously Ted is like a master at debate. So.
Yep, and he was not going to take any of that, fudging on the Railway series lightly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure me and Ted had like the same answer. Maybe it was Super Rescue questions, but one of them we had the same answer. And MPS was like if you guys team up, the person who does, or if you guys, I don't think there was a team up option. I think it was like, if you have the same answer, you have to go against each other, and whoever has the better argument gets the point.
Oh, yeah, Devil's Advocate.
So obviously, I didn't win that. I don't think I got a single point that time.
I remember when I was on Thomas Battles, it was against Soder Railway SR3D Films, and I'm just looking at the video right now, and Hero the Japanese Train, and the thing is that it's misspelled. It's not misspelled because there's like an infamous thing where I'm not going to get into that, but it's misspelled in a different way than you'd expect it to be misspelled. So I'm going to go back and probably edit that on Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio. But we had movie pitches, and being that I was 13, I for the movie pitch I just said, all the characters are dreaming, and then we go into every single one of their dreams, which is of course a screenwriter's nightmare, because if the first thing you learn when you go to film school is don't make a whole movie take place inside of somebody's dreams, because then nobody will care because the story has no consequence. And so I lost that battle hard. I lost it big league. And Rudy, did you watch community radio back in the day, or did you
I don't think I did. I don't have many, I was aware of it, but I really didn't interact with it much back in the day. I don't know where I was, but
you were somewhere. You were
I-
someone.
That's for
I was
sure.
probably rewatching Enterprise and Engines for the 500th time. That's probably what was happening.
So was I. So was I. But and I guess what were your thoughts like? Being that like Eric, you were on the inside. You had a unique perspective as it pertains to like the end of the first reboot of community radio. What was that like?
Honestly, my memories have been shite nowadays. But like, if I can remember correctly, I think it was just that. Wait, I think it's because like we started community radio while we were like still in high school, still like. I think it was during a winter break that we actually started it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started during the winter break. We started recording the episodes, and then like we had time off, and then I think like when I think it was just kind of like sort of like a lack of motivation from all parties in a way. I guess I think there might have been like some bad blood in 2015 against like a few people that didn't last long, but 2015 was a bit like weird for a few of us. So I think like just the year in general and just our position and our age and like whole stuff with puberty and just like figuring shit out. I think it just kind of like all came together to make it so it wasn't like really all that organized. And I think like Ted, I think Ted kind of just like abruptly left and was just like, yeah, community, like I give control of community radio to all these guys. And then we were just kind of like stuck there like, oh, all right. Sure.
And
that was quite jarring. So.
You know what I'll say though is that Percy number 6, he kept up a good fight because he was like the only person. Like, let me put it this way: is that community radio started on December 30th of 2014. I woke up on the 31st and saw the video, so it was like a really good birthday present. Consistent uploads throughout 2015, and then Percy number 6, he put that one upload in 2016, which made the community radio last for longer than a year. So I gotta hand it to him. He solidly put a bookend on the first year of classic community radio.
And then even after that, after community radio, everybody stopped. He still made his own show on his own damn channel for 3 years.
Yeah, and I really love Percy's Ever Present Past, not only because I love the McCartney song, but also just because there's lots of really cool guests on it, and I always learn something different about the history of the community. Like, I guess that actually is an interesting question from our perspective, either being looking back on the original like shows, like are there any moments from any of those episodes that really like are like, wow, that was like really great, you know, or like brings back lots of good memories even from just watching them?
I haven't seen them in a while, so it's
I get it.
I remember the Cards Against Humanity videos were really fun.
Yeah.
I think those have been taken down now, but because they probably wouldn't hold up to the scrutiny of time. But
Yeah, definitely not.
That fandom was quite different back then.
Yep.
Those are the few episodes I do remember having watched, and like, yeah, they would not hold up.
They would not hold up. We've had many conversations about. Anyway, moving right along. If I sing it, I won't get copyright claimed. So anyway, let's take that, Paul Williams. Now we jump forward about 3.5 years. And all of a sudden, community radio is coming back. It's coming back, and there's a whole new list of shows that are coming to the radio program that didn't exist before. Of course, Percy's Ever Present Past is back. Roberto's Records was back. And Thomas Battles, or a reboot version of it, was coming back. But there were all these new programs as well. Like, what were like being that this was the first time, actually, Roman, what how did you get involved in the reboot of community radio?
Well, I remember everybody telling me about it, like up to Shining Time and at Shining Time, like, oh, do you want to be a part of it? Like offering me a spot, and I was like, well, I mean, it would be fun, but I don't know what to do. But then I found out that Henry was doing a show, and I was like, well, I think it would be fun if me and him were co-hosts because we were really good friends. So I think it would work out naturally. And he liked the idea, so then we co-host the new show because initially it was just going to be him doing.
Yeah, and you had like a very unique, like fun banter. You know, I remember being in certain like Skype groups or Discord groups back in the day, and you two would just play off each other, just talking about like anything. And a lot of the time it actually did have to do with, you know, community news, you know, because back then, you know, there was actually news in the community that had to do with the show. Now it's like, oh, that happened to Thomas. Oh, well, we're just kind of resigned ourselves to it, I guess, a bit at this point. But yeah, that was a very enjoyable show. And I remember the first time you actually focused on the first episode, you focused on Shining Time, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we focused on the meetups of the summer.
Mm-hmm. Man, that was a crazy summer. That was like it's funny to say that, like, just looking back, being that it's just like a year later. But
well, nowadays everything's upside down. Back then everything was normal, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Remember when people were joking on New Year's Eve, and they were saying, "Oh, you know, imagine if it turns midnight and then it's 2019 too," like as if that was going to be a bad thing. Let me tell you, just right now, give me 2019 too, okay? I want my money back on this Roaring 20s stuff, okay?
Imagine going places and meeting people.
So during this time, during the reboot, I guess, some other very successful shows were brought to the channel. Character Gallery being one, Thomas Top Tens being another. And to jump forward to this year, we had 3 more shows added to the roster of shows during the beginning of the year. Those being Track Plan Banter, of course, Thomas Mysteries, and Trackside Tunes, one of whom whose hosts has just joined us right now, ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, Mr. Trains and Tugs. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing good.
Doing well too. I guess I already asked Rudy about like how actually what am I talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
What they're talking about? You were both you, Rudy, and you, James, were very like some of the first shows that were added to the roster on community radio after having submitted, you know, requests to create programs. So I guess the natural question to ask you would be where'd you get the inspiration for these programs?
Well, for Trackside Tunes, I basically was watching. I occasionally watched Character Gallery because I think, you know, and then I just so happened to look through the description and just see the sign up form, like, yo, I have an idea, and then I got in touch with a good friend of mine, Lego Spaceman, and the idea came to me naturally because as I was getting, I wasn't as interested into music as like until like late 2019 when I submitted the show and we recorded the pilot. Which was around the time I was like doing some more stuff outside of just like wooden railway content. But basically, we just recorded that while I was on vacation. The show was way different in the pilot than what it is now. But basically, then
I was just gonna ask, like, how was it different, like in the pilot?
well, it was more. It sounded more artificial than anything like talking about. But it was more artificial, if I could just. That's the way I could put it. Like, and we also had like. We talked about the Tugs theme for that one, which then later morphed into like its own episode later on down the line. But we just focused on themes, and then when we were invited to the channel, Master Lemons, which I think was the person who emailed me and Bailey, or yeah, basically that was that, and he told us there might be some stuff we had to change, so we adapted, and first episode of Trackside Tunes went up sometime March or April, and it's been going pretty consistently ever since.
Yeah, and I really love both of your shows. They're just absolutely a blast to watch. It's been a blast to be on Trackside Tunes, and of course Track Plan Banter. I mean that kind of ties back into like it's almost like a spiritual kind of successor to Solar Workshop in a way, kind of, because
that was not intentional, but there are definitely similarities there.
Yeah, I'm not accusing you of plagiarism or anything.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, it's like you kind of both kind of stumbled like into like the same kind of room, and even though they're different shows, like thematically, they have that same. I've been using the term aura a lot, but I guess that is kind of the term to use, it's. I just really appreciate more than anything else that in 2020, that we're, consistently uploading, new content, and that we're having all these wonderful people who are contributing their voices to something that's become almost an institution at this point. Because as I mentioned, I remember, when I was young, 2 years into having a channel, and then community radio came along, and it was this great, idea. And then it went away, and now it's back, and crazier than ever. And I love it. So I guess one thing that I'd like to state is that, I'd like to highlight is just the fans. We have some amazing fans,
definitely.
On community radio. So I guess one segment of the never aired Kikre report was the comment comeback, where he was going to react to various comments he got on his videos. I'm going to adapt this a little bit, and maybe you can highlight one reaction to a video that you were on community radio that really stuck with you, that really meant a lot to you. And it can just be one person, or it could be a greater, I guess, understanding or emotion. I guess I can start. It actually is weird because it has to do with how I got picked up onto the channel. But I remember once when we got the very first episode of Late and Live was on my channel. It's a evolution. It's an evolution of Monday Night Live. Roman, you were on the premiere of that, of course. And I was just like excited to reboot this as a more structured talk program where I could bring on some of my favorite people, favorite content creators, and some individuals who I think should get promoted, and get recognition in the community, because I saw that there were so many people online They were making great stuff, and I just wanted to be able to help in that promotional process.
Well, how nice of you.
Well, well, it's well, also there's selfish reasons, but I'm not going to get into those. I'm kidding. Well, not really, but consciously, I'm kidding. Subconsciously, you're going to need to talk to my subconscious one of these days. After we had that first episode, that live stream kickoff, I got this message from Percy number 6, and he said, I love what you're doing, and it'd be great if we could bring the channel, the show over to the community radio channel. And this was completely unexpected to me. So then on the second episode, when we moved over there, I was just blown away at just how many people came to watch. I honestly thought that, oh, nobody's going to watch it because I haven't uploaded anything, consistently probably since 2017 at that point. Just there was such an outpouring of love and support, and it just blew me away. And Roberto also was being a goof in the chat, so that's always a nice thing too. And that's where Mount Disappointment came from. Came from that very first episode of Late and Live on community radio.
Yeah, he's a Mount Disappointment.
I seriously hope that
actually, I hope he wins the election.
Well, after MPS just Take-A-Lon users, he kind of lost my vote, not gonna lie.
MPS is a corrupt politician, and we need to put an end to ways.
Yeah, he got rid of the MPS, and even when he brought back he got rid of the 2002, and even when he brought back the 2002, he didn't bring back the 2002. Oh, boom, drop. There we go. Got him. I don't even know what that means, but then again, it's me.
Hey, he didn't bring back the spirit.
Yeah. But do you have any highlights that you'd like to share from your time watching, or your, I guess? Who,
me? Or are you doing generally?
I'm just asking everybody.
Well, I had a pretty funny moment on the last episode of the news show. I remember when we were interviewing James early years collab. At the end of the episode, we were like, "Okay, James, our final question for you is, what does it feel like to be on the last ever episode of 209 Empire News?" And he's like, "What?" And then we were like, "Surprise! The show's ending." That was funny.
That was great. I love that.
And I had a pretty good time doing Thomas battles. That was fun, and I'm even the first time, but more so the second time because I was able to actually put up an argument. Then when we did the Blue Midwest Mystery, me, person number 6, and Roberto, that was fun.
Was that a harmonica right there? Or?
Yeah, sorry about that. I my internet decided to disconnect, and I needed to check if I was still here.
Oh, okay, you're all right. And hey, I like harmonicas. I'm actually learning to play. It's more difficult than it looks. Maybe it's because I have big lips. Oh, spoiler. Yeah, I loved my second time on Thomas Battles too, mostly because I won, but also because
I was close to winning, but when James put me on the spot for a bat, or what is it, like a lightning round or whatever, I just couldn't do it because I had nothing planned. So I was like, crap, what do I do? And then I could not argue for.
Oh man, I loved that. And your reaction to when you lost, honestly, that was probably better than winning, honestly, because you were just like, what? No. It was wonderful. I loved it.
It's hard to accept defeat. That's all.
And any from you, James, you, Eric?
I mean, I haven't really checked the comment section of Trackside Tunes because, well, I'm a very busy man, and I do most of the work for the show. But I mean, it doesn't. But I still enjoy doing it. But one comment on me and Taj's episode was a joke, and I know that my mic quality isn't the best, but I like the jokes that poke fun at like obvious things. And one by Flying Scott Films, uh, also known as Dax. 15 seconds of after the 15 seconds. Yeah, you better welcome me. That was from Taj. And like that made me laugh because it's pointing out something obvious, but it's doing it in a unique way. I also a lot of the I don't remember comments very well because, as I've said, I'm a busy man. But when someone compliments me, it, it it's not it's, to stick with me. It doesn't have it just. It has to be more than something nice job nice job. It has to be like something complimenting a specific area of the thing of like the program.
Or being like, wow, I this video, just like it, like you won't believe what just happened to me. One thing that was funny that I didn't post on YouTube was that I was listening to the Blue Midwest Mysteries, and one of them, I think it was MPS, was or Matt, I guess I can say, was making fun of Lego Lover for listening to the podcasts while he was mowing his lawn. And then I laughed at that until I realized that I was listening to the podcast while I was mowing my lawn. So
I mean, I listen to a lot of the podcasts while I'm cleaning out horse stalls. So,
hey, yeah. Well, that makes me feel really good, that this is the audio that you want to accompany the I'm kidding. That's great. Honestly, I love it. I love it. Why do we keep on saying that?
I listen to the dulcet tones of Mr. MPS while I'm trying to fall asleep every night.
I mean, the
sweet and soothing
podcasts.
tones of Matthew.
This actually has to do with community radio. I don't know if you remember, like when you and Matt met up for the first time. I'm talking to you, Eric. And then I was working with him on Sudgering Tales, and so he was like, "Hey," like it was before he posted anything on Twitter, pertaining to the meetup. So he was like, "Hey, so would you be okay for a Skype call right now to work on the series?" And I was like, "Okay." And so then he called. I called him, and then there was just you and Matt just sitting right next to each other.
Oh,
yep, and he. Yep, and he was like, so you have you're on tape. Do you have anything you want to say? And then my gut reaction was to do something that referenced you, because I knew I was going to talk to Matt. So I stole your joke from your appearance on Thomas Battles, where I said I'd like to thank my mom and my mom and my dad and my mom and my mom. Just like. So I guess there's that. I guess that is technically connected to community radio. Man, that's crazy.
Memory.
Oh, that's one hell of a throwback.
There's also one that I saw from Ted. I don't know if Ted said it wasn't him, but all I know is that let me pull up and see. Well, I'm not. Let me see. I'm going to go into the gallery of the Skype chat, because we sometimes post things that pertain to community radio, and there is one comment that really stood out to me, just that was posted recently. Okay, So on a video of community radio, I forget which one it was. Oliver Duck or Ted posted, "Love this show," and then somebody replied to it using the community radio channel saying, "So do I."
Oh, I remember seeing that.
Oh, it's just like what?
I still wonder who went in and did it on the channel, but
I wonder if it was somebody like from the original.
I
I
read
wonder if it was
Spies.
somebody from the original iteration, maybe, who just like logged back in. They'll never catch
Or
me.
the spy.
I could see Chase doing something like that.
Man, this is golden. Anyway, I guess that sorry, this is just too much.
Todd. Indeed.
Man, it's just absolutely crazy, just like how many phases community radio has gone through. Because like now that when I think about community radio, I think about the thumbnails so much, like the visuals, and that was like completely like Lemby's idea, just to have like this like formal uniform, style of.
I'm so glad he did that because that's just so nice to look at. Every thumbnail is uniform.
it really makes the channel look distinct.
Yeah, really.
It gives it this whole new flavor, and it makes everything seem a lot more unified than it has previously.
Yes, of course.
I really think that was a big change in the right direction. And I guess going back to especially compared to the original community radio with Ted and Roberto and Johnny, where they just had like the openings and it was like this like smooth jazz music in the background, like while like there is like doo, doo, doo. And then there was like 10 seconds of black at the end of every clip. Kind of like the old SNL uploads where they had like advertisements and the person who was editing them just couldn't internet, so I don't know.
Internet. No,
Okay.
Well, I guess now, being that it's 8:47 right now, I think that you can all stick around if you want, because we're going to be talking about some breaking news in the community.
I have breaking news.
Oh, what's your breaking news?
I want to officially announce that I'm running for president of the TWRC for the Communist Party. We will give everyone equal rights. Don't worry, I won't be on the ballot.
Oh, you're going to be off the ballot? Oh.
Yep.
You need to fight for that more. If you're running for if you're running for president and you can't even be like, I'm going to petition to get on the ballot, then you're in trouble, my friend. I'm sorry.
A president who does not care to advertise himself.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you got to fight for that. I'm very afraid because this is giving me really cringy flashbacks to possibly the most embarrassing chapter in community history, that being when Jack decided to start the Confederate Thomas One Railway Community. My goodness,
lordy lord.
What was he thinking? That, once again, talking about things that
we have
not
a
aged
civil
well.
war.
Yeah. Then again, Jack didn't exactly age that well. From
Civil War.
Yeah, man. And then there is the whole Mrs. MPS 2003 thing, which it gives me headaches because I need to explain that to everyone I talk to.
I need the explanation.
Well,
yeah,
now
I think I need that explanation.
Okay. I thought we were going to do a news segment, but I guess nope. We're going back to 2013. Sir Topham Hatt, 261 Jack, 291. What am I saying?
Fake
91. Sorry, I turned it upside down. I guess.
fan.
Guess I did say like despicable, disgusting something podcast earlier, so it's not completely out of character. It was so he Jack's War happened. And there was so much happening there that I'm not really going to explain that. But point being is that he was caught doing some rather kind of creepy things,
Shady things.
Yep, and he needed to get, and he was pretty much excommunicated from the community. And while all this was happening, he pretty much went on a rampage and a tirade online, pretty much telling everyone, you can't do this. My dad's in the FBI, and so on and so forth. And and so anyway, this progressed through the inception of the Thomas the Tank Engine, Thomas Wooden Railway Community Wiki. There were a few strikes on there where Sir Topham Hatt or Jack would just go on there and like completely like change like the messaging on his page to like more accurately fit like how he wanted to be viewed. And towards the very beginning of 2013, he created a channel to go against the community called Mrs. MPS 2003, which let me say if you're trying to make a compelling argument that people are being immature in dealing with the situation, you should not call your channel Mrs. MPS 2003. Just saying. But he pretty much posted a bunch of like attack videos, and then Wooden Railway Reviews Rob, he got involved and just he made like 3 videos which were originally called A Message to Jack, but eventually he changed the spelling to like Jaka, like that spelling, but still pronounced Jack. And he just completely destroyed just any semblance of that. So I to be honest, I kind of would like to see those videos. I remember the third one featured the clip of Baxter from Arthur, and no, Buster from Arthur, saying the FBI, and there was a clip from Die Hard in there. I'm not entirely sure, but it's all a blur to me because I was probably, what was I? I was 11 then. My goodness. Yeah, I was 11. That's right. So yeah, that's and I remember the funniest thing is that Sam, Wooden Railway Stories, joined the community shortly after. And there was this whole like conspiracy theory about people who were trying to insinuate that he was actually Jack. So wow. that was interesting.
Really, that happened? I'd never heard that.
That happened. That was with what was the, dang it, it's so far back. A lot of this stuff I discovered on the wiki, like actually being on the wiki back in 2013. It was Wooden Railway Studio or Urban Trains. I think he had like there was some misunderstanding that went on between them. So and at the time he was known as Doubtfire 5599. So that's what I remember. But I remember that Sam told me about that once, and he was not too happy about it. But yeah, there are.
Jack sounds like a cool guy. Am I right?
Yeah, that's Jack Huddleston, and he's not a cool guy.
Man, this Jack. What was he even gonna do with the Confederate Thomas community? Was he gonna enslave the small users?
I don't know. Ask Henry. I or Johnny. I call him both. I call him both for some reason. I always say Henry, Johnny. Oh yeah, because he had a channel called Henry and the Beatles, and I remember I watched that like crazy. But Oh man, the nostalgia, it's kicking in. Now back to the present, the ever depressing present, where Thomas the Tank Engine, season 25, not looking so hot. Do you have any
Oh, so you say.
oh
Um,
and Percy number 6 actually uploaded a very interesting video on the subject. I guess we can just probably do like our responses to what's going on.
um, I'd like to say that. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, me personally, I'm obviously it looks like crap, but I'm disappointed like a lot because people took the CGI series at first really hard, right? And it was a big change, of course. But I feel like this is a much bigger one, and I think there's a big problem here is that like the CGI series still did a good job of like making you think that these are real engines or like it gave you like the feeling that these are real machines with real weight. With some exceptions, obviously. Some stuff recently has been more ridiculous, but like the good stuff. Like it always gave you the sense that they're real engines, just like the model series, and there are a lot of really impressive episodes with stunning visuals. But now it's being reduced to 2D animation, and there's nothing wrong with 2D animation. Like
when done right.
What'd you say?
There's nothing wrong with 2D animation when done right.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing. Yeah, and I don't feel like Thomas is a show that does well being 2D. I don't think we haven't seen it yet, but there's no way it's gonna be like there's no way it's gonna give off the same feelings that you got from watching the model series or the CGI series, where these are real machines with real weight, all that, and that's part of the appeal of Thomas is that it is real, or at least it seems real. Obviously, trains don't actually have faces, but you get what I'm saying. And
Yeah,
there's a tangibility to it,
and like it's just the reboot is gonna cut out so much of what made Thomas Thomas. Like I don't know how well everyone's paid attention to it, but Thomas's cab is closed off now. There's gonna be no crew, I assume, unless they're trapped in there and they're gonna die. So
the windows are painted.
So no more crew. I guess the only humans will be like children and Sir Topham Hatt probably, and we don't even know how many characters that are gonna actually be in this. My guess is that it's just gonna be the current Steam team and like maybe a few others that people like Cranky and I don't know, Cranky and Harold, the helicopter guy. But another thing is I don't think there are going to be a lot of characters, and that sucks. Like that's part of what I really like about Thomas is seeing so many different characters. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I think that what they're trying to do is like almost like turn the show into Thomas Jr., and I don't like where like all the kids are like all the engines are like kids, and they're like
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
like Muppet Babies and stuff like that.
yeah, and and that's fine, if you have a franchise that works on kind of maybe like a more absurdist kind of concept, a concept of that, where that has been proven to work before in the past, even if I have not necessarily been a big fan of that type of narrative. But quite frankly, Thomas does not match that format at all. And it seems like a desperate kind of attempt to appeal to a demographic that really isn't interested in Thomas to begin with, because since one has been making something more generic, made it like a lot like yeah. I mean, there have been cases where like making like a show more like accessible, that can have its benefits. But if you just rob like your brand of any originality, that kind of just takes away any base you have to begin with. The thing I loved about Thomas was that even during the Miller era, when there was like, it seemed like every other episode, it was like, oh, somebody spilled like the cranberries all over the track.
Cranberry sauce.
Yep, or like, oh, the carnival is coming to town and Mr. Bubbles forgot his, or something like that. And even when it was something stupid like that, it was like, oh, there is some semblance of like, okay, this is an operating railway. This is like, there are jobs to be done. Even if like, however pointless those jobs are, they understood that. While this new one, it kind of feels like they're just trying to make them, I don't know, human, and that,
I wonder if like the engines are even gonna be pulling anything. I feel like probably no. I doubt even Annie and Clarabelle will be in it.
No, they're gonna give Annie and Clarabelle births in like Tidmouth sheds, and they're gonna be able to self-operate themselves. There we go.
Oh God!
Cut out the middleman.
Let's give Annie and Clarabelle fireboxes. Let's go.
Like I forget
Give
who
them
mentioned
motors.
this. I forget who mentioned this on Twitter, but I think I think you guys probably saw those same tweets as well. Like the saddest thing about this whole like reboot thing and the whole idea of like Mattel trying to like make Thomas into this like quick, fast, action, fun, like colorful thing is the autistic demographic. Like I myself, I'm autistic. I don't know if any of you guys.
Yeah.
I am
like,
a certified autistic.
Like I won't say I'm on the spectrum. Of course I'm not, but essentially like I think the tweet said that a lot of people like from like who are on the spectrum said that they were very sad about what was going on because like they knew that like because I think one of the reasons like why I grew up and loved watching Thomas like not only like it was action sometimes but it was calm, it was nice, it's peaceful, it's beautiful, it's really like light entertainment for children that really like does well with a lot of people, and then they just decide to like, oh no, Paw Patrol's what works, like kids want like fast-paced YouTube stuff, so let's turn Thompson into that, and it's really just missing the whole point, and
exactly.
And it's really absurd on this like really like cash grab like big wig like company management sort of way. It's just
and I'd like to welcome back GordonFan04 to the live stream. He's back, and he's ready to talk. And also, I'm gonna put a message in the private chat for all of you, I guess. But it's just it's very sad because I think that's why I love the show originally. I think it's because it was just so calming and contemplative. And that's what made, the accident so great is because like the thing about Rusty and the Boulder, the thing that makes it work, it was not like all the scenes where, the narrow gauge engines are, rolling away from like the boulder or, where the boulder crashes into like the shed, where Percy's by. It's, the moments where Sir Topham Hatt's just saying, maybe we should have left this part of the island alone. Those calm parts.
It sort of gives the series like some more lore that could have been expanded upon in the future.
Yep, and it makes the action seem more like powerful because there is an alternative. There is I guess there is a spectrum from the very calm and commonplace to the extraordinary. And simply to have everything heightened up to the extraordinary kind of robs it of a little bit of that.
Having everything be spectacle robs it of
you guys hear me?
spectacle.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was muted and I didn't realize.
Okay. With like what you said, Taj, with Rusty and the Boulder, you have this. You can the boulder like rolling down the line kind of works because you can suspend your belief because it's not like because it's like practical effects, and the boulder actually has weight, and I feel like you can more like you can suspend your you can have a suspended disbelief or whatever. Like you can suspend your I don't know what the actual term is. I'm just rambling here, but instead with the CGI, it doesn't feel like it has weight anymore. And the 2D is probably going to feel the same way if they're doing all this fast and action-packed stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's because like live action like models like that inherently they're a way to take stuff more seriously. Like there's this theory with like Disney animation that like musical theater you can suspend your some level of disbelief because of like the setting and how everything's animated. And it looks fake to begin with, but the thing with Tomstad, it looks so real. So the narration is very serious and the characters talk very seriously. So like when those extravagant moments happen, especially with Mike and Junior's music, like you're just totally into it. You believe in this world and these characters, and like you really feel those moments of like, oh, this is serious, this is real, and that's the beautiful weight that this show carries.
Yeah.
Well put.
I think the biggest tragedy with the current state of the series is that it treats kids like they're stupid. And it kind of goes against even Audrey's original mission statement of you're not writing it just for the kids, but also for the parents that have to sit there and listen to it, or in the book's case, read it. Like the parents have to be able to,
Enjoy it.
listen to it and not want to bang their head against the wall.
Yeah. I kind of have come to the conclusion that there's nothing more pointless than the children's property, because children always, at least from when I was growing up, I always was more interested in what the people 2 grades up from me were watching, or what adults were watching. So I was on that level, and yet I was never embarrassed to watch Thomas the Tank Engine, because the original seasons, at least, once I grew to that age, because I realized, there is artistic merit in this, and this is not, clear cut for children. Does that mean that you shouldn't touch upon concepts of childhood? Of course not. There are so many great, shows and movies that deal with these subjects brilliantly, and to simply dismiss them for that it would be completely wrong. But the thing is that they take the subject seriously. They don't shrug and say, it's for kids. Because if anything, and I've made this point before, these are the movies that are going to stick with you. I remember pretty much all of, at least, all of the Toy Story films, for example. All of those films hold up like crazy, because they have those emotional moments. And because they take...
I'm sorry.
That's a sound I have not heard in ages.
That's a sound that I only heard
for an hour.
I'm sorry. I'm crying like Thomas Top Tens is getting canceled.
All right, we're all good. I'm on Do Not Disturb now. Sorry.
But I guess that what I was just saying was that those films, I remember all those character moments, and even though the majority of the audience for those films were children, they stick with me because they took that subject so seriously. And I always found that children's properties that view kids like adults are almost unilaterally far superior to any of the competition, because that's humanity. All great art respects humanity, and films that are made, or TV shows that are made just because it's for kids, they don't respect the humanity of the children, and that's something I have no respect for.
There's also the fact that with writing in general, being around more complex writing breeds more complex thought. Just if you pick up and read a more complex book, then you're more likely to gain more intelligence. I'm not wording this very eloquently, but just, if as a kid you're exposed to little kid shows that treat you like a little baby, you're more likely to think like that. There's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into all this.
Yeah.
Where, again, just don't treat your audience like they're idiots. Because by treating them like that, you might be turning them into that.
Yeah, I know it certainly worked its magic on me, Dang it, I shouldn't have watched season 9, then I would have been intelligent, man.
No, but it's like, especially on like the emotional level, I just love the classic series and the Railway series, and the fact that, like, notice how a lot of like the early stories end on a bittersweet note.
Yeah.
Or, like, not only just the note of like, it's not always the happy ending. Sometimes, like, I don't know, Edward will go back to the shed and he's happy, but freaking like Gordon and Henry are pissed. Or like,
come on, man.
Maybe it's really just the story ends, the engine goes back to the shed, learns his lesson because it's like a multi-part story or whatever. Like, those are kind of like, they're clever ways of introducing children to like more complex emotions, which I think is like the show just like the stories just work on so many levels.
Yeah, what other children's show first episode?
I think the interactions in Thomas made me want to grow up to be a better person, honestly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, just because of like the friendships and the interactions and just the whole vibe of it all.
Yeah, that there's a confidence in the audience. I mean, like, what other children's show that you can really think of had their first episode end on such a sad, depressive note? It's just Thomas puffing sadly home, after, being, made a fool out of, and so then when you have your moments like with Thomas and the breakdown train, then the gratification comes because not every story is going to end like that, and that is so important.
And I think what I see a lot in Thomas now is like what's happened to other great British children's shows like Fireman Sam and Bob the Builder, is that it's just it used to be this great thing, this great show with like great model work and stories, but now it's just targeted towards babies, and that's just disheartening.
America got a hold of it, and then we screwed it up.
Yeah, we're one step away from turning we're one step away from Thomas being turned into a dog.
The reason
she has a dog.
The reason why personally I like Thomas so much is because it says things with such etiquette that it taught me so many different words and things that without Thomas I would not know their meaning or anything like that.
That's that same. I ended up doing a lot of learning, like just how to read and talk through Thomas.
Yeah, I got like a bunch of extra credit points in my language arts, like my 12th grade language arts honors language arts class for using the word sagacity. I actually got like 15 extra credit points just for using that word. And so thank you, Reverend W. Audrey. So I don't know if that's a success of the Reverend W. Audrey or a failure of the American educational system, but it's probably a little bit of both.
Honestly, that's probably a failure of the American education system.
The British triumph again.
And he has been an elephant. We must admit that.
First the rain, then an elephant. Whatever will you be afraid of next?
Actually, I take it back. The elephant Thomas makes me long for the days where Thomas helped set up the circus with Mr. Bubble as opposed to be part of it,
Mr. Bubbles is my favorite.
Lemmy,
Mr. Bubbles has the best story arc.
yeah, Lemmy, Matt, get on it. Mr. Bubbles character gallery episode now. Okay,
They
let's go.
probably know they will. That's probably like 3 or 4 episodes down the line.
What
No,
was the clown from the Miller era before the CGI? I remember there was a clown.
Mr. Giggles.
oh, Mr. Bubbles' estranged half brother. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had a brother that was a mime.
Oh, Tom Tipper. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not great. No.
Tom Tipper was actually a pretty good character.
Yeah, he
Even if
was,
he
and
wasn't.
they brought him back, which I can't believe that that happened.
Like Tom Tipper kind of like reminds me of Postman Pat in the sense like he's just the postman. He doesn't have anything exciting happen to him.
He just does his job, and people love Postman Pat, for the same reasons that I think lots of people love Thomas, just because it was.
I'm just surprised that there's someone on Sodor that actually does their job.
Yeah.
Mr. Bubbles does his job pretty well, though.
I mean, just think of how many signalmen fall asleep on Sodor.
Yeah.
Hey, they're
Man.
staying up watching the new Thomas film.
Oh, Roman, you were gonna say that. If Roman was had his input in every part of the conversation, then he'd say, "Oh, though they were listening to MPS talk." You can't tell me that I stole that from Roman. I stole that. I'm sorry, man.
We definitely would. I mean, who would? I know. I won't listen to him in the debate on Monday or whatever it is.
Yeah. Hey, Lemmy's watching. Hey, get on it, Mr. Bubbles.
Mr. Bubbles.
Yeah, there we go.
Come on, Lemmy.
If we want Mr. Bubbles, come on.
Mr. Bubbles and Mr. Giggles.
On the lore of Mater's tall tales.
Burn down the signal, man. If we want.
Jim the Signal.
We want a Mr. Bubbles episode of Character Gallery. Come on.
Yes, and make it snappy, please.
Make it catchy. Make it 2 minutes 30 seconds. Make it radio friendly. All right. Now I guess moving on, we're into a very unique part of the episode. This being Thomas, the Thomas Trivia Challenge. Now you may be wondering how exactly we're going to do this, and you have don't exactly have the best experience with the Thomas Trivia Challenge.
I am back.
All right, okay, just in time for the Thomas Trivia Challenge. So we're going to do something very unique. So GordonFan04, I'm afraid to tell you that you're going to need to answer every question. For
yes,
this.
of course.
But for all of you in community radio, you're all 4 community radio alumnus are going to need to decide which person is going to answer the question before I ask it. And it's going to be who will win, GordonFan04 or Tom's the Tank Engine Community Radio. And guess what? If you win, GordonFan04, if you win, you do not get you are not able to take over Tom's the Tank Engine Community Radio. I'm sorry, I talked with the executives; they would not allow it. I'm sorry.
If you win, I'll eat my shorts.
Okay, there we go.
Please, can I don't want to eat my shorts, so let's win this.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Do I have to answer? Do I have to answer before?
Yep. We're going to have it set so that we're going to delegate, like the 4 of you from community radio. You're going to need to choose who your candidate is for the upcoming question. I'll read the question and I'll give you both 10 seconds to ponder and answer. Then say A, B, C, or D, and then.
So we have no so we pick before we have context on the question. Is that correct?
Yep. So that's the tricky part. You can't just go with, "Oh, I know this question." You kind of need to be like, who might know whatever question's up next. And another thing is that you can't have the same person one person can't answer all the questions. So let's say, Roman, you answer the first question. You can't answer the second one. Then Eric, you can answer the second. But after Eric's done with the second, then Roman, you can answer again. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility pertaining to that. It's just so it's a team effort, I guess. So does everybody understand? If not, I can explain it again. So
Um,
I think I understand.
I think I understand well enough.
okay. Well, yeah, you just doing the normal thing. You're doing the normal thing. So anyway, what's who volunteers from Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio?
I've had a bad experience with this, so I don't want to go first.
I can go first, I guess.
That's all right.
I could go first, I guess.
All right, Roman, let's go.
One for the team.
So the first question, and I'm going to put this in the chat.
Wait. Okay, hold on.
I don't have the chat opened right now.
I need to ask a question I just thought of right now. Wait, is it whoever answers first, or how do we call the answer?
I'm going to go from both of you, and you're both going to need to say your answers. And then, like, there's 4 options. So you can say A, B, C, or D. I'm going to go. And then once I reveal the answer, both of you can potentially get the point. So
Okay.
it's just whichever team goes is ahead.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to be reading them out loud as well as posting them in the chat so people can participate down there as well.
So I'm really gonna sound stupid, but it's just whoever answers first.
Oh, actually, no. It's just I'm going to read off the question, read off the options. I'm going to give you 10 seconds, both of you, to come up with an answer that you like. I'll ask you, Gordon Fan, first, which out of the 4 you want to go with. Then I'll ask the delegate from Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio. Then I'll reveal the answer, and then whoever gets it correct gets a point. So it's possible that neither of you will get a point. It's possible that both of you may get a point. And of course, one of you could get a point, the other might not. So anyway, first question. What character or characters in the season 6 episode, Scaredy Engines, tells the story of the mysterious ghost engine? The options are A, Thomas, B, Edward, C, Donald and Douglas, or D, Duck. And you should know this because there was just a character gallery episode on it. So,
Bing, boom, 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 boom. You
That's
just gotta
it.
get the Jeopardy
and
one.
time. So, GordonFan04, do you have a guess? And just put the guesses in the chat. We have a few B's right now. You want to go with the chat, or do you want to be rebellious?
Puppy?
I'll just stick with the chat.
All right. And what about Roman? What do you want to go with?
I'm gonna go with answer B.
You would both be correct. Edward is the main character, and you can find out a lot more about that ghost engine on the most recent episode of Character Gallery. So that is currently GordonFan04 has 1 point, and Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio has 1 point as well. Who wants to go next for Community Radio?
I guess I'll go next.
All right, perfect. Here
Wait,
we
who
go.
am I here for community radio?
Oh, what?
Who am I going against in community radio?
This is me, This is James from Trackside Tunes.
Yeah, we have a celebrity.
I think I made you a thumbnail once.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah,
Are you trained in tugs?
Yes.
Okay.
We did it.
you are.
We did it. Okay, so number 2. In what episode does Thomas exclaim, "Got to see a coach about a train"? A, Thomas, Percy and the Dragon. B, Gordon and the Gremlin. C, Ghost Train. Or D, Thomas, Percy and the Squeak. You have 10 seconds.
Boom, 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 boom.
Dun, 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 da, 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 da.
Done. There we go. Now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to ask on you, James. What's your answer?
It is C.
Going to go with C? All right.
Yes.
GordonFan04, what do you want to go with?
See.
have 2 C's. We have some conflicting reports in the chat. We have some C's. We have some D's. Wow, so this is a type one. All right.
I bet they're trying to throw us off.
So let's see. In what episode does Thomas exclaim, "Gotta see a coach about a train"? It is not Gordon and the Gremlin. It is not. So I'm afraid that it's not that. It's not E. It's not Thomas, Percy, and the Dragon, because I don't believe because that's more on that has a more of an emphasis on Percy during the latter half of that episode. And it's not in the episode which features Alicia Bhatti. So it's not D. The answer is C. So both of you get a point for that as well.
Hooray!
Yeah.
I did good one.
2-2. Now, community. So who wants to go next? Who volunteers? All right. And I'm going to put the next question in the chat right here. In season 7's Bad Day at Castle Lock, Sir Topham Hatt tries out an outfit from which individual or individuals right before he hears Donald and Douglas have been trapped by the lock. I'll repeat that again. In season 7's Bad Day at Castle Lock, Sir Topham Hatt tries out an outfit from which individuals right before he hears Donald and Douglas have been trapped by the lock. Your options are A, the Duke and Duchess of Boxford, B, Lady Hat, C, Lord Callan, or D, Old Bailey.
Well, I saw a funny.
This is a very interesting question to ask.
I saw a funny meme by the guy called WTL Network where it's a different one where Sir Topham Hatt's being measured for a new suit, but it's the Titanic. It's like the Titanic poster.
Man. Anyway, do you have any guesses? GordonFan04, what do you want to go with?
I have not seen Bad Day in Castle Lock in 5 years. So, but just because it sounds right, I'm going to go with C.
C. Now, community radio, what do you say?
I am no expert whatsoever in season 7. I'm gonna go with a popular top chat vote. I'm going to go with C.
You would be correct. Both of you would be correct, and it seems everyone would be correct, because who would want to try on clothes recommended and gifted from Old Bailey? So
From Lady Hat, that would.
I mean, he's got some good swag. I'd buy merch from him.
I mean, he's snazzy in that outfit at the very end of Haunted Henry.
I want Old Bailey merch. Okay.
I want Sir Topham Hatt and Lady Hat clothes. That needs.
All right, and I'm so sorry because I know. Well, you ended up getting it anyway, but I bet Roman's kind of fuming that he didn't get the season 7 question. Anyway, who wants to go next for community radio?
I'll go. I'll go.
Beautiful. Wait,
That's not how that
you okay?
Well,
I guess I'll go.
Put me.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. Okay, so number 4 in the music video for the Thomas song "Boo Boo Choo Choo," what do the garden gnomes dance on? A, the platform at Lower Tidmouth Station. B, the line by the Maithwaite Quarry line. C, the roof of the smelter's yard. Or D, the remains of scrapped engines. There we go.
That kind of sounds morbid.
I have.
Ooh.
That music
Ooh.
is a barrel of full
the dark.
So, which one are you going to go with, Rudy?
I'm going to go with A.
Going to go with A. What about you, GordonFan04?
Naughty
I'm going to
gnome.
go with A too.
Okay, so we have 2 A's. All right.
A.
We have another guest that's actually in the waiting room. So, let's
Waiting
see.
room.
Yeah. Okay, so we have lots of A's. So
A.
I'm going to cross them off. It's not at the roof of the smelter's yard, even though that would look super cool.
Naughty
B,
Gnomes.
It's not the line by the Maithwaite Corey line, even though that would be kind of in keeping with the episode that those originate from, being Percy and the Haunted Mine, which leaves us with
Naughty.
two options. And it is not at the platform at Lower Tidmouth Station.
What?
Yes, that's right. The Garden Gnomes actually, in the music video, dance on the remains of scrapped
I
engines.
knew it.
That's kind of morbid, don't you think?
That's morbid.
I have a vivid image of Mandela effects.
I gotta look this up. 1 second.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a barrel of fucking laughs.
We'll just have a laugh.
Go bump in the night.
What a cheerful
They
bunch.
do. Holy, they do.
I just thought that was just so
Happy
curt.
Halloween.
Because it's like during like the part where they're whistling too. So it's not even just like that. They're actually dancing. They're dancing and whistling on top of the remains of scrapped engines.
That's so scary.
That's why they're called Naughty Gnomes.
Love that song.
Who's our new guest?
Our new guest is currently in the waiting room, and I can't add
Waiting
them to
room.
I'll make room.
Are you
I'll-
sure?
Yeah.
Taking one for
All
the
right.
team, eh?
Well,
I respect
I'll make sure to
that.
add you back if we have time. So anyway, it's been great having you. Great talking to you. So
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been
man.
great to be here. Yeah.
yeah. And once again, thank you for celebrating 1,000 subscribers.
Not
On
not
Tom's-
10.
Not
I can
10,000.
make it 10.
The
Give
K
me
is what
10
messes
months
me
to
up.
bunch of bucks.
Like 1 carat subscriber special celebration. No, that's not at right. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
He's in the waiting room with the ram from Ba.
Our next guest is somebody else who's been on the show in the past, and well, we were just talking about him earlier. And you all know him, you all love him. He is Percy number 6.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me, Taj.
How are you doing?
Oh,
Oh, I am doing pretty well. I thought I heard Roman earlier. Don't tell me Roman's here.
This is why I want this. I want this.
Well, unfortunately, I am.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'll just
Lock them up.
I'll just add Rudy back. Okay. I'm kidding.
That's a good idea.
But in all seriousness, how does it feel? 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, pretty good. I think we were at, Taj, even though you weren't a part of the last run, I feel like you would remember what subscriber mark we were at better than me. I think we were like at 300 or 400, maybe even 200, honestly.
Yeah.
So we moved up pretty quick. So thank you all.
It was a bit of like the community's like special nook. It was like the little secret that we all kept, and there's like lots of larger users who made content on there, but it was not really that, well known. And we've really ballooned as of late.
Why it wasn't well known is it was run by Percy number 6.
I think that's why it's at this level right now, because it's run by Percy number 6.
Hey,
Or because of character gallery, I don't know.
yeah, that's the thing, is that the last we jumped up to like 1,000 subscribers. We didn't even jump up to 1,000 subscribers. We jumped up to 1,020 subscribers from 980 in one day, on the same date that a character gallery episode was uploaded.
Wait, seriously?
I'm serious.
What are the odds?
I checked the analytics. 40 subscribers, like in less than like 3 days. It was crazy, because I was like, oh, we're almost 10 away, like about like an hour after the video got uploaded. And then like 1 hour later, I was like, whoa, we're already there. We already crossed the mark. But anyway, we're just playing the Thomas Trivia Challenge. We're currently on question number 5.
Oh boy.
I haven't screwed up yet.
So who wants to be the representative from Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio?
Well, I think it's only fair that Percy number 6 goes seeing as he just joined, but
Oh,
if you
boy.
mess it up, I'm going to be pretty disappointed in you.
What do you mean, Snow Kid? This is still going. Yeah, it's going. Yeah. Yo, we're having a great time
Get
too.
out.
Just
Hey,
kidding.
you're
We love you.
right.
We love you. Don't
Why
unsubscribe.
are we locking up Roman?
Okay. I guess we're letting Roman do one, and you know who Percy number 6 is gonna blame if he gets it wrong. So here we go. Number 5.
Oh boy.
Who was the first to complain about the volume of the foghorn in The Fogman? A. Percy, B. Henry, C. James, or D. Gordon? I'll give you 10
Oh
seconds.
my gosh. Okay, so
God.
haven't
Fogman
watched
was one
that
of my
episode in a very long time.
I watched
Maybe
that
because
ago.
all these remake channels are not remaking it. So if one of
Hey,
these remake
Frankie-
channels would step up and remake that, it would help me right now.
All right.
You just got called out.
All right. Time. All right.
Good luck.
GordonFan04. What are you going to go with?
A. I feel like it's A. I think it's Percy because how they used Percy in the hit era.
That's
Or
loud.
even season 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Percy, what do you want to go with?
Well, you know, it's kind of ironic. I'm going to go with Gordon. He seems like the one that would complain. And while, yes, I do remember Percy being a part of that episode, like me, he's just too nice to do something like that.
We switched character roles.
Okay. Gordon number 6 over here, and Percy fan 04. Okay, there we go. That's all right. So, even though it would make sense, I guess, for James to be the first to voice up, it was not James.
Oh, no.
Henry, well, it didn't involve rain, so we can pretty much factor Henry out. And that leaves us with our 2 final options. So, which one is it going to be?
Oh, no.
I'm not feeling too hot now.
I watched it recently, and I know.
The answer is Percy. So the point goes to
Yeah.
Gordon Fan 04.
Ah, great. I knew it.
Yeah, I knew it, and I wish
Thanks a
I'd
lot,
taken it.
Roman.
Well, we don't like these big movies on the show.
Oh, okay.
I'll
well,
go
I'm
next.
going next question then. Okay.
All
I'll
right.
go next.
Okay.
Roman's gonna to prove himself.
Here's an interesting question, getting some representation from the new era, or at least mostly the new era. There's one classic series episode because I'll be honest, I couldn't help myself. 6. Which episode doesn't include a reference to ghosts? A. Flower Power, B. Haunted Henry, C. The Magic Lamp, or D. Halloween?
Who's going this time?
It's Roman.
I'm going.
No idea.
I got this.
Got it in the bag, Roman?
All
You
right,
sure?
Roman, do you have it? Do you have it now?
Yeah, I do. I just need to look at what the name answer choice is. My answer is C.
Your answer is C. Gordon Fan 04. What you gonna go with?
C. That's my answer too.
I'll go double C, closed captioning. Okay.
Oh, crap.
It's not Flower Power because Thomas gets mistaken for being a ghost after being covered with, well, flour.
No,
I love
I thought he was a goblin.
It's not Halloween because there's the little ghost cameo at the end,
Yeah,
of course.
Because Emily's like, the ghost engine is
Got me. And it is not Haunted Henry because it's not Owl's Miss Ghost. Yeah.
Edward's going sus in the boiler.
So that leaves the Magic
think he's
Lamp.
the
Both of you got it right.
I'll be back.
Be
Gordon,
back.
dirty cheater.
But you both got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Copied me.
Yeah. And now, I guess should we wait for everyone to come back?
I'll take a little break for a second.
Oh,
Holding on.
faster, faster! There's a ghost about. Stop! I can pretty much memorize the whole thing. And what?
Who are we waiting on?
Oh! I thought somebody said, "Oh, I need to come back," but I'm not entirely sure. I think I can add Rudy back actually. So there we go. All right.
Who left?
I think Eric needed to leave. So, but I guess now we can go and select a delegate from the community radio side of things. So who wants
I'm
to
winning.
go?
Well, I can't go again, so it's got to be someone else. And I'm not feeling too trustworthy of person number 6.
You get one that's not completely correct.
I am back.
I got one of y'all to do a crossover with me. Okay, so let's see. Which one are we gonna go with? Who wants to go? Who wants to?
I'll do it.
All right, perfect. There we go. So here is a music question. Number 7. Finish this lyric from Monsters Everywhere. Is your boiler getting colder as you slowly puff around? Must be brave, you must be bolder. And the options for the last part of that lyric are, or you won't get where you're bound. We the Kids Bop Kids coming for your town.
Okay, this is obviously Jack's film.
Yep. It's no more than silly sounds. But do not make a sound. I'm going to give you 20 seconds on this one, being that you're probably going to need to read out the options again.
I haven't listened to any of the new series sing-alongs, so I'm completely in the dark with this one. I know.
Are you sure? I'm kind of feeling Kids Bop Kids myself.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The Kids Bop Kids.
I mean, I do the Kids Bop Kids and just stick to the memes, but
okay,
I
GordonFan04.
have to eat my shorts if I lose, so.
Okay. GordonFan04, what you want to go with?
C.
You want to go with C. What about community radio side of things?
I'm gonna go with C.
Both gonna go with C?
Just because if he loses, I lose too, so.
Okay, so our guess is your boiler getting colder as you slowly puff around? Must be brave, you must be bolder. It's no more than silly sounds. Let's look at our options. So first of all, I think we can all factor Kids Bop Kids out.
No, I thought no way. Kids Bop Kids was the imposter.
Yeah. The Kids Bop Kids are imposters. Who am I kidding? Okay.
Kids Bop Kids looking pretty sus over there.
Wonder they should get the Kids Bop Kids to do the music for the new Thomas Series 25. Okay. Now it's or you won't get where you're bound, because bound is too hotsy-totsy for, I guess, the new series, I guess. And it's not, but do not make a sound. It's no more than silly sounds. So you both get a point.
I guess that.
Ha! You help me. Ha!
Well, actually, I'm still one ahead of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon has to lose one. I'm gonna make sure that happens.
How many questions are left?
We have 3 more. It's a full run of 10, and this one's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's going to be diving into the back catalogs of some of the cast members historically of Thomas the Tank Engine. So number 8, who's our nominee for Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio?
Well, I could go again, but does anyone else want to go?
I guess I'll let him go.
Your serenity to a small user.
I think this just destroyed Percy number 6's confidence because Roman got a point and he didn't. I'm so
give it a second try.
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping is next Monday, whoever wins the election justifies what everybody in this community wants, and we finally see Roman locked up.
Yeah, I mean, you should say that. Roman's right here. You shouldn't say that.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
You didn't hear me clap. You didn't hear me clap. Okay. So number 8, prior to narrating Thomas, Michael Brandon starred in which film by the iconic Italian giallo / horror director Dario Argento? A. Phenomena.
Oh, great.
B. Deep Red. C. Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Or D. Suspiria.
I never heard of any of those movies.
I throw out some of these because
Man,
then everybody
you give-
needs to guess on at least one.
The first two questions were super easy, and now you're hitting us with this.
I'm easing you into the pain. Come on, it's Halloween. That's how all the good. That's how all the good slasher movies go. Okay, all right. So, Roman, do you have a guess?
Well, it sounds stupid, but screw it. I'm going with C. Four Flies on Grey Velvet.
All right.
That sounds delicious.
Sounds like a Jonathan Richman album title. Now, GordonFan04, what you gonna go for?
Well, I know that I will lose this one either way that I do it, so I'm just gonna go with Roman and hope that I get it right. So, C, I
Four
guess.
Flies on Grey Velvet. Let's see. We have somebody saying Susudio in the chat of Soda Island Studios. And Thomas the Small Engine says, I don't like eating hats. I give them to the Rams. There we go. There we go.
Yes, of course.
So I'll go from it's not D, Suspiria, even though that's an iconic film, as is Deep Red. That's also not correct, which leaves us with our final two options, Phenomena and critics' favorite, Four Flies on Grey Velvet. And I'm afraid to say that that C is the correct answer.
What?
Yeah, I pulled you on for a loop there. I got you for
No way.
You
I
got
was
it.
gonna go with Deep Red, but I was like,
Suspiria
Why
Deep.
didn't you? If you did, then
I knew I was gonna miss it.
But you want
I
to know
did not
what?
think that you're right.
You want to know what though? Out of all four of those films, Four Flies on Grey Velvet is the worst. So sorry, Michael Brandon.
What does it have on Rotten Tomatoes?
It probably has a good score. It's Dario Argento, but yeah.
I am looking up that I got Four Flies on Chicken.
Nom 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 nom. Am I the only one that remembers that video?
The question would be about Michael Angelis.
Well, we have a question about Ringo Starr coming up, but first of all, you dang it. Okay, so who wants to go? Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think it's time to put in the varsity squad back in. I think it's my time.
All right.
Yeah, you go give him hell, Percy.
So, similarly, Ringo Starr starred as Merlin in which cult 1970s horror comedy? A. Son of Dracula, B. Listomania, C. Devil Woman, or D. Phantom of the Paradise?
I'm so glad I didn't get this question.
I'm going to go, for me personally, I think C. There's a song with that would have been on in those days.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of
A.
A's. I already locked in C. That's
Okay, so I got a C and an A. Is that
A.
right? Did I hear an A from GordonFan04?
Yeah, it's an A for me.
All right. So it's not Phantom of the Paradise, which even though that film does feature the aforementioned Paul Williams, he wrote the music and appeared in the film. That was directed by Brian De Palma, who later went on to make films such as Scarface. So go check that one out. It is not Listomania, even though Ringo Starr did appear in that film. It's he just didn't appear as Merlin. It also stars Roger Daltrey, and it's about the life of Franz Liszt. I would not recommend it unless you're a big fan of cult films. That leaves us with Son of Dracula and Devil Woman. So our two options.
God.
So it's difficult. But I'm afraid that the answer is not Devil Woman. It's Son of Dracula. So that means that the score currently is 8-6.
No.
So,
That means I win no matter what, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no way we could bring it back now, right?
You know,
So-
hindsight 2020, I'm kind of glad I did this because I ruined Roman's chances of winning. And I think that's worth it.
Hey, and any day where somebody
Oh.
needs to eat their pants is a pretty good day, you know.
I have
And
to eat my shorts. Thank you guys.
oh, shorts. Well, at least
I'll
that's a
make
little
sure to
better, a little
watch
shorter. Also, I would recommend. I'd say that Son of Dracula has a great soundtrack by Harry Nilsson, but I would not recommend watching the film. It's not good. Now that leaves us with one last question. So this is our homecoming, and I'm pretty sure that everyone will get this one, but it felt wrong to end on a hard note.
Hey, to make the stakes higher, you should make this a 3-point question.
No.
Hey,
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
There's like 5 people, and I'm a singular person.
yeah, you know what? I have a
I'm gonna
suggestion.
go.
I have a suggestion. What about, like, to make things fair? If GordonFan04 gets this point, it's worth 0 points. But if Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio gets this point, it's worth 100. So
Heck yeah.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But okay.
But
Put 3
actually,
for them, 1 for me.
Okay. But okay. Okay, number 10. This one's really easy, actually. I'm sorry.
wait, who's going?
Yeah, who's
Actually,
going?
no, go 2 for them, 1 for me.
Okay, that's
And
okay.
then
That's fair.
I mean, like, if I miss it, then we'll tie. But if I
Okay.
make it right, then we'll.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, number 10. Which episode does not appear on Thomas's Halloween Adventures? A. Thomas and Gordon. B. Duncan Gets Spooked. C. Haunted Henry. Or D. Toby's Discovery.
Who's going for us?
I'm going. It is B. Duncan Gets Spooked does not appear on Thomas Halloween Adventures. I'm really confident about this one.
Okay, Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio. What you going with?
Who's going?
Well, you can choose now.
I'll go. B. Duncan Gets Spooked. Easy.
All right. I said it was easy. You both got it.
I still
Oh.
win.
Thomas Mania 24. It's nice seeing you, but why'd you need to disappoint me like that? Ah.
I won.
We love you, Thomas Mania 24. Thank you for
Unfortunately,
tuning in.
one.
All right, we're sending missiles to North Korea.
You're sending shorts into your mouth. Anyway, this has been really fun, actually. And I really appreciate all you coming on. This has been an absolute blast. I think we can go around the circle now and just see if you have anything you want to plug. I guess I can start with Rudy Productions. Or I guess he doesn't have anything to plug. So, Roman, do you want to?
Rudy leave?
Are we ending the show? I'm sorry. I keep reading crap on Twitter. I'm not even listening. What's going on?
Okay, sorry. I know. I
You're
checked
zoned
Twitter
out.
briefly. It's
the fake fan.
Okay, but Roman, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm working on A Bad Day at Castle Lock remake, just like one of the questions was about.
Yeah, that's
Very
cool.
nice.
And I'm almost done. I was working on it tonight while we were doing this thing. So, I mean, I don't know if it'll be out for Halloween, to be honest, because I'm kind of behind, but it'll be out soon. So
What about-
You're gonna try with a little help from your friends, eh?
Hey, worst case, you can do a remake of The Fogman too, since we have some requests for that.
yeah.
Remake of Frogman.
Yeah, and you should just get have me narrate it, and I'll make the foghorn sounds. So there we go.
Instead of replacing Cyril with the foghorn, we're gonna replace Cyril with my trousers.
I think I need
Oh.
to answer Thomas the Small Engine's question in the chat real quick. I'm just going to say third party never wins. And I know it's hard for me to admit myself, but I am rooting for Roberto.
Me
because
too.
MPS needs to be kicked out of office.
MPS lost me with his take a long comment. I know
I
I've said
said
that before.
this on Twitter, and I don't know if y'all saw it, but if MPS gets elected, he said in the last Blue Midwest Mysteries that he'd do different, but I know that's a lie. I could just tell by the way he's talking. He's like he just was speaking lies, and he's trying to manipulate everybody. If he gets elected, he's going to appoint his multiple personalities, or AKA just himself, as his cabinet. So he's going to have him and Mateo and all of them. What are their names? I forget.
You don't want Gangsta G being the secretary of agriculture. You know.
Who else was there? I listened.
Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin. That's the most notable one.
What's the host of Burn after reviewing like a different character, or was that like just him still?
I have no clue, but either way,
Jeremy from Neverhoma.
We may not know who those personalities are, but it doesn't matter because it's just going to be him anyways, and that is just manipulating the system. Unbelievable! I can't believe he's even going to try it. So don't let him. Don't let him. Do that.
Hey, it worked for Peter Sellers. That's all I'm going to say.
Vote Roberto.
Worked for Stalin.
Okay. Anyway, Trains and Tugs, you go.
I'd like to promote a bunch of things. All right, I'd like to promote my channel, my second one, where I do nothing but YouTube poops, which is really fun. But I don't know if you guys like that comedy, so just check it out if you want to. But anyway, I like to promote my Twitter. I like to promote my college funds. I'd like to promote myself because I have an ego. And that's all. Thank you very much.
And you'd like to promote Roberto for president.
I'd like to promote the Academy. Wait a minute.
What? Oh, yeah. I'd like to also promote myself as the communist dictator of the TWRC. Please vote for me.
Third parties, man. I swear.
Man, you know this is how you need to be if you're a third party candidate. You need to make one of the other parties the third party. There you go. GordonFan04. You have anything to plug?
My YouTube channel, which is it in the description?
It will be down in the description once this is officially uploaded.
Okay, so my YouTube channel in the description and my Twitter handle, which you can see under my name on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I also want to promote Roberto because I want him to win as president because MPS has a crippling Baja Blast addiction that we don't. Do we want our president or our controller of Sodor to be have a crippling addiction? So.
Well, I mean, there's two answers to that, no and yes. That's the question.
Yes, because Baja Blast is the official TWRC.
And I also want to promote the Back on Track podcast. That's all I'm going to promote.
Yeah. And last but not least, we have person number 6. What you want to plug?
Well, I only have a couple things I need to promote. First, I do have a Halloween review coming up. So in just under a week, we'll be seeing that. And in about a week from now, we will be seeing the big community debate. I will be the moderator between Mr. MPS 2002 and LNER Flying Scotsman. I have 6 wonderful questions for these two men. And arguably the most important one is what they are going to do about Roman's TWR empire.
Whoa.
I think
did you guys fire Vinster Holt from the last debate in Grease and Oil?
Well, we don't talk about that one anymore. Instead, what we're talking about is locking Roman up.
It's very important.
And that's going to be
he's deflecting. He's doing what every candidate does. He's deflecting.
Yep. And if you have any questions as to where that's going to be taking place, it's going to be broadcast live. Both candidates are going to be 12 feet apart. And it's going to be broadcast live from Mount Disappointment in Los Angeles County, California. So,
very nice.
I cannot officially endorse somebody, as I will be a moderator. I will say whoever is willing to lock Roman up might get my vote.
And
I will
be
officially lock up Roman. Nothing personal.
and Rudy, see you're back. So, do you have anything to plug? Okay, go check out Rudy Productions channel. Okay, there we go. Also check out my channel. Check out all the channels that are affiliated with Thomas the Tank Engine Community Radio. They're all available on the channel. Just look at the sidebar. They're all there, even former members. So it's really cool.
Really, we're still there.
I believe so. Well, they're somewhere. We're subscribed at least. So hey, we subscribe back if you're good. Okay. But
Yay.
You good, G?
But with that being said, make sure to subscribe to my channel, THDJPTDDDO. I had a catastrophic memory failure, which led to a lot of my work on my Thomas and the Magic Railroad review being deleted. But it's fine because I worked on it a little bit more over the weekend, and it's starting to look a lot better anyway. So, anyway,
bombshell, it's time to end.
Yep. And so I just want to thank all of you for watching. Make sure to watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. That's the background on my screen. Great horror film. That's 100 years old this year. So make sure to check it out.
Very great film. Watch that in film studies. Don't regret it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film. And with that being said, follow my Twitter, follow the Late Live Twitter at Late Live with Taj. And with that being said, I think the time has come for a close. So hope to see you very soon, and good night.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end.
Yep, and closing credits time. So have any songs we want to sing? Okay. This
is a song. This is a song. This is a song that I'm making up the lyrics to. Happy Halloween.
I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. Nobody?
I was born with a shotgun in my hand.